This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome on board this afternoon's Sunset Safari, where there are some clouds building up in the east and towards the south, and it is a very hot, sticky and humid afternoon. And well, I would like to go and find myself some buffaloes and maybe some shade that I don't have to squint like this. So it's not only me out and about, of course. We've also got Tristan, who's out and about, and he is going to go follow up on Tandi's little boy. And then as well, we've got Kyle out in Tswalu, Mike out in Pridens, and Ross will be joining us from Pinda. We will not be having any and beyond in Ngala this afternoon. And well, on that note, we welcome you on board your live African safari. Everybody, good afternoon and welcome to my vehicle. My name is Steve Falconbridge. I'm joined by Mpo on camera, and as always, we are delighted and excited to have you with us. Now, please, if you have any questions and comments, send them through to #WildEarth on Twitter or throw them in on the YouTube chat stream. If you are younger than 18, get your parents or guardians to send through your questions to kidsquestions@wildearth.tv. Now, this afternoon, as I said, I'm going to try and see if I can catch up on the buffalo from this morning. They're here somewhere in the thickets. I don't think they've gone very far. I thought maybe they would have come to Gallagher Pan, but they've not done so. Well, not yet, anyway. So Tambuti Dam is up there. Voortele Dam is that way. Gallagher is that way. So where are they? We're on a road that takes us to an old sort of hyena den. Haven't been on this section since the rains fell. It's a very, very overgrown. I can't actually believe it. But I'm almost certain we'll probably get a long distance visual of some boofs in a moment. If not, well, we're going to turn around and go the other way. We knew where they were this morning. Not that Mpo and I actually found them, but we definitely smelt them, and we picked up a lot of the flies that they had with them. Now it is Mpo, Theo and Tristan's last stint this time around. I'll be staying on. Lauren arrives back this afternoon. She'll be on tomorrow morning. And Sebastian and Davy will be taking over the camera work. Jackie, I think it's hot enough for wallowing Steve this afternoon, to be honest. But it is definitely hot enough. I didn't even tell you the heat, did I? It is 29 degrees Celsius. That is a lie. It must be warmer than that. Only 84 degrees Fahrenheit. And there's a hole. Sorry. Oh, I missed the hole. But I'm going to hit it with the back wheel. Sorry, Abo. Oh, I missed the hole. Fantastic. Well, it is hot. We need to keep moving, so we're going to carry on into some shade. If we're not in the shade, we're going to keep moving. It's going to be one of those afternoons. Lots of water. Boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, sun cream, 50 plus protection, and hats. Enthusiasm, binoculars. All of those, A for away. A for away. Excitement overload on this, the last day of January 2021. Goodness gracious, can you believe it? It is a Sunday, and it is the last day of January. A good day to reflect, a good day to look back on the previous week and on the previous month, and a good day to put forward intentions for the coming month. February, it's a little bit shorter than January, but a splendid month nonetheless. Valentine's Day month. For those of you out there interested in Valentine's Day. So, as I said, it is a very warm afternoon. Let's go and have a little look at the weather forecast.
Dumela, good afternoon and hello to Tswalo Kalahari. I would have to agree with Steve this afternoon. It is as hot this side and I do feel like a wallowing buffalo. I think we'll find a pan and I might just get down and dirty. Good afternoon, my name is Kyle. Behind camera is Craig. Thank you very much for joining us. Hello, Craig. Thank you very much for joining on this sunset safari. Lovely scene we have in front of us. Giraffe doing their thing. It is very warm this side. We have a little bit of cloud cover coming from the northeast, and we have decided that we are going to take it slowly through slow movement. We are going to see what we can find in and amongst the dunes. It's a lovely male over here, busy browsing off this little camel thorn, using those neck muscles to get down to that point. A beautiful scene. Seems like we are having a giraffe kind of day today. So just relating back to this morning's drive, I hope Lisa is watching. Lisa, I have to confess, when the question came through from you this morning, I did not hear that. It sounded like a very complex, higher grade scientific name coming through, but the question Lisa asked is that wild sesame or that thunderbolt flower related to domesticated sesame seeds? And yes, it is. They are within the same genus. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do this here quickly. Craig, can we just look over here quickly? I've used the tools I have at hand. And there it is. Trifolium is the thunderbolt flower. And Indicum is the sesame seed. And this is a really remarkable plant because it dates back to about 3,000 years ago. And is one of the oldest oil seeds used. Thinking back, could have originated from East Africa or from parts of Asia. And India, to this day, is the biggest producer or largest producer of sesame seeds. They produce somewhere around 6 million tons of it. So yes, they are in the same genus and are related. So sorry about my comms breakup this morning. But there we go. And back to the giraffe. It is very, very warm today, so I think we're going to find big trees and we're going to see what is hiding in the shade. Animals are very clever. They won't be... Emily, I'm so happy to hear that you are enjoying the giraffes. I, too, love looking at giraffe. I can watch them for hours. And if you look at the activity, they are always busy. Always busy, browsing, always on the move. They're never still, so it is just constant entertainment. So I like that comment. The Emily is also one of my favorite animals to watch. And you can never be unentertained, let's say that, by watching giraffe. So this group has been hanging around here for the past couple of days. They do tend to focus in and around an area for a few days and then they wander off. And just like we spoke of yesterday afternoon, that they don't have a long-lasting bond with the herd. So this is more than likely a group of males. You can see from the very thick and very straight ossicones that these are all males. So at about 3 years of age, they'll break away from that herd where females tend to stay in that grouping. The don't worry. And when they get a little bit older, age 7, 8, then they'll break off and utilize the solitary form of life. But right now, it's nice to have a companion or a partner in crime while you are out here. Oh, what do you call a group of giraffe? There's one or two collective terms that are accepted. Some people refer to a group of giraffe as a tower of giraffe. I like to use the term, the other terminology, which would be a journey when they are on the move, a journey of giraffe. And then another one that I find very weird is a stretch of giraffe. I think a journey and a tower is very fitting for this tall land mammal. And tall at that, males reaching about 5.5 meters in height, almost a meter taller than that of females. And just by their general body size, when you start looking at giraffe a lot, you can actually just use the body size and shape in order to identify that of male and female. Also, the track size would vary as well, the weight. So even the depression that the animal would make into the substratum would vary between male and female. You can see those horns very straight and very thick, and if Craig gets us a little bit closer, you can see the sun shining off of them. So that's from the wear and tear from these males using these heads as volatile weapons. And that constant friction wears down the hair on top of the ossicone. That poor little camel thorn. I think it was bolted to. Giraffes store water in their bodies like camels. So that question relating to camels, if you look at camels, it's not actually water that they store in their hump. Hump actually consists of a large amount of fat and reserves that the animal would use through the leaner times. It has always been a notion that camels store water inside that hump on their back. That hump is just consisting of fatty tissue, whereas in this animal will not store any water in that notch. That is actually a part of the shoulder and then the neck coming down, and there's a massive tendon that runs over that almost triangular portion of its shoulder itself. And there's a tendon that actually comes around there, and then that tendon is strung so that when the giraffe relaxes, the head automatically goes up to a 45. And now it's actually using a lot of muscles to pull that tendon or stretch the tendon to get the head down to those lower parts. And once he relaxes, it automatically goes up. But no water stored in there at all. They acquire a lot of moisture from the vegetation they eat, and then also drinking on a regular basis. They can go a few days without water. If you take a look at giraffe found on the western parts of Africa, they can be really tolerant to hot environments and going quite lengthy periods without a body of water. There's a few of them here. Alrighty, we're going to enjoy this giraffe, and then I think what we're going to do is we're going to find you guys something else. But let us send you over to somebody who's going to say hello. Right, so we
We are bumbling along on the bottom boundary while they're enjoying journeys of Giraffe in Swalu. Or Pinda, I think it was Pinda actually, sorry, my mistake. But we're bumbling along the southern boundary. We're trying to head towards where Tandy's cub is, because today is naming day. Some of you may have already seen a name for him, but we will get into all of that just now. My name is Tristan. On camera, I have got Theo, and hopefully we're going to have a very good afternoon, because the last time Theo and I were on our last drive of our stints, we had an epic sighting of Tandy hunting a warthog. She didn't kill it, but she grabbed it, and it was pretty cool to watch. So hopefully we'll have a equally epic afternoon. There is some big clouds on the horizon that look menacing and like they might rain on our parade. You'll see them there. There's a lot of darkness in those and some serious rain that is forecast. Just to the south of us this morning, they got 175 mils overnight last night, and that is all flooded, so not far at all, about 40 kilometers to the south of us. So hopefully we're not going to get that much, because otherwise Theo and I won't be going anywhere. We'll be stuck here, which is not going to be... I mean, there's worse places to be stuck, but it would be nice to get home as well. Anyway, we're not too far from where we left Tandy's cub this morning, playing around in that jackalberry. Let's see if we can try and find him. He was looking fairly... what's the word for it? Not agitated, but fairly... bored, as though he wanted to kind of get up and go. So he was kind of going from branch to branch when we left. I'll be interested to see if he managed to just settle down again, or if Mom came back. There's a lot of variables that can happen over the course of the day. It's been a very hot day today, very humid, so I think he shouldn't have gone too far. The best place for him is in this drainage line up in front here. Alright, I'm going to have a careful look around. In the meantime, though, let's send you across to Steve.
Tristan, have a very careful look around, sir. It is a wonderfully warm afternoon, and we are slowly making our way towards where the buffaloes were last seen. All the poo all over the road and all the garden service that's been taking place happened last night. I'll demonstrate how I know that by some of the poo in the road up ahead there. Do you mind? First, have a very careful look around. I mean, have a look at how tall this grass is, everybody. Goodness. Could lose an entire buffalo herd in there. Okay, so... you know, first of all, buffalo poo. Now, what's very easy to see is that it's quite hard now. Now, already this morning, though, it was starting to get this from the dung beetles moving in and burying. Can you see that there? That is earth that's been dug up. Dung beetles taking balls of buffalo dung and burying it. So when this is very fresh, it's still green. I mean, even if I turn it over, you can see it's very green inside. There's the well-chewed, well-digested rumen content, or stomach content, or dung of the Cape buffalo. But this here indicates the time frame. That would have happened already yesterday. This wouldn't have been yesterday. This would have started in the night, at least in the morning. It's given them lots of time. But that crust on top, you can actually hear it. Fresh buffalo dung doesn't tap, everybody. Good to know, hey? Good to know. Okay, so lots of flies, lots of organisms living off of this, but the buffaloes moving through disturb the soil, churn the soil up, and as they move, they trample the grass and feed on the grass. And they take this grass here, which is ultimately very green, very photosynthetic, and also fibrous, and there's nothing much can be done with it right now, and they break it down into that. Okay, so that is it right there. The molecules are much smaller, They're much more finely digested. There's huge amounts of bacteria and microorganisms around there. And that is a living ecosystem right there. Right there, that is nutrient recycling at its best, happening right in front of us. And that's nutrient recycling where the dung beetles are burying it into the ground. The nutrients are going back into the soil. They're not just being leached off. Dung beetles and organisms that decompose organic material are so important for taking what's on the surface back into the soil. One of the biggest issues we have around the world at the moment is overstocking of cattle farms and livestock generation. And all of this dung that's not getting processed is getting burnt off and lost to the atmosphere as methane, as a gas. And that's leading to lots of ecological issues, and it's being washed away down streams, and we're seeing big ecological issues. So here, natural process, the grass material cycled back into the soil, and the whole cycle continues again. So very, very important. And at the same time, the buffalo also churn up this hard ground that we're finding very difficult to track on. And they also make very good food for some of your bigger predators, and they also from time to time sort out your bigger predators, which obviously we don't like to see, but it is what happens. Let's carry on. We're quite a few hours behind that buffalo poo, but we know where they were this morning. I don't think they're going to be too far. We'll check the watering holes because these animals are extremely water dependent.
Right, and welcome back to this warm Kalahari. We're talking about water and storing water, and so if you look at adaptations and how animals deal with extreme heat conditions, a few animals have a very remarkable ability to deal with the extreme. So if you look at the southern oryx, that is one animal that is able to withstand crazy temperatures. They have found oryx at 45 degrees Celsius internally. I mean, that is just remarkable. And if you look at the remarkable abilities, physiological adaptations is one way in how these animals get to evade from pegging or dying from heat exhaustion. And if you look at oryx, they have a remarkable ability or adaptation referred to as the wonderful net. Basically, there's a network of capillaries and blood vessels that run through the nasal cavity. This adaptation is only used through the extreme conditions. It's not like the animal just switches on this function when it's hot. And this actually tricks the brain into thinking it's cooler than it is. Basically tricks the hypothalamus gland. But if you look at these lovely animals, these animals too have this wonderful net running through the nasal cavity. So through the extremes of temperatures and also lack of water, these animals then can trick the body into evading a few extreme days without water and obviously being exposed to the sun. But remarkable. So physiological adaptations or behavioral, and we have seen behavioral to the highest degree, which would be those sociable weavers. The backdrop of the beautiful Cumulonimbus, making the giraffe once again look very, very small. Oh, I mean, look at that. Rosalind, how many bones do giraffes have? I'm going to have to call on the viewers here to help me, because I'm really not sure how many bones a giraffe actually has. Are we talking about the skeletal structure? So if, maybe some viewers can help us out, give us some answers there. If somebody has background in biology or animal studies, maybe you can help us out with an answer. I'm really not sure how many bones a giraffe have. Very, very good question. I've never thought about that, and I've never been asked that. So what a fantastic question. Vertebrae, they have 7, same as us. But how many bones do they have? Rosalind, great question. We will find out. If we don't find out through this drive, I will find out for you. You can hear my pocket opening and my notepad and pen coming out. Obviously, the most important tool in a guide's arsenal of tools, and the most important, obviously, documenting and noting questions, was that's how you increase one's knowledge. These two bulls finding nice nourishment over there. And we're going to be looking at 1 or 2 trees today, and we're going to focus on one special bush that we didn't wrap up a couple of days ago, which would be the velvet raisin bush, or grevia. We'll be looking at it when we go out west. It becomes a more prominent shrub at the base of the mountains going out west. And that is actually one in view, right in front of the giraffe. I don't think it's browsing off of it, but that looks like a grevia in front of it. Yum yum. Tess, wonderful comment there. Such a nice scene with the giraffe and the mountains behind it. It really does give you an understanding of how small we are. You know, us as humans have this notion that we are so important and we dominate the world, but when you look on a different scale, you really begin to understand that we are really small within the scope of things. And it's just our mental ability that has given us supreme power over everything, that we think we are just dominant. And when you look at scenes like this, I mean, we're looking at a very tall animal there, but scenes like this really give you a sense of respect and of awe of how tiny we are. And we've got some beautiful clouds this afternoon, so hopefully our sunset would be another magical one here this side. As we've seen, clouds really do make the sunset spectacular. Nice little bit of cumulus. Beautiful white fluffy clouds. And unfortunately, today is Mr. Craig's last day. Unfortunately, Craig is leaving us. And somebody new will be joining us tomorrow morning. His name is Morgan. So we will welcome Morgan onto the sunrise safari tomorrow morning. And we really thank Craig for all his efforts and knowledge and skill of showing off Tswalu, and as well as South Africa's heritage. Wow. some flies irritating him there.
Well, it's quite an interesting track that we're looking at the moment, because this is a track not for a leopard, but for a lion. And what makes it interesting is that this track is not for just any lion. This track is for a tiny lion cub. Now, I don't know of any lion cubs that are this small that are anywhere in our traverse. I'm going to give you a sense of how big this track is. So if you look at my hand next to it, it is tiny, tiny, tiny. There is 1 toe, 2 toes, 3 toes, 4 toes, and then the little pad at the back there. I mean, I literally, it's no bigger than sort of that size on my hand. This one is also quite cute. Little track over there as well. So I don't know whose cubs these are. Last night the guys said to me that they had lioness with cubs, but I thought they were talking about maybe the Torchwood Pride, because I know that they've got cubs, but these look way too small for those cubs. Those cubs would be bigger than that already. The adults walked over here. You can see their tracks much bigger. If you look at the size of the toe, I mean, I can kind of place my whole finger in there. So those are the toes there, and then the pad extends over here to the back. So much, much, much larger paw print. Those are very, very small. It makes me wonder, though, where they've been kept, because these would still be in a den. They're too little to be moving around with the pride itself. And I wonder if they weren't being kept in this drainage line with Tundi's cub, which is a bit unsettling. But yeah, we'll have a look around and see. They look like they go in here, and what I can see is that there was 2 females that went in, and it seems like 1 female came back out again. So I don't know if maybe they dropped the cubs off and left, or if the female with the cubs kind of stayed. It's a bit nerve-wracking walking into places with these. They're very little, so you need to be very careful with those cubs. I just want to go a little bit up this road and just check. There's a little dip that is just in front of me here. I want to just see if they went down towards that, or if they went up north, because maybe around First Rock these cubs might have been taken that way. And if it is the case, that would suggest to me that maybe, just maybe, these cubs are potentially little Inkuhuma cubs. Also, given that we had those 2 Inkuhumas yesterday on Chitwa, I mean, put 2 and 2 together, it's possible, I suppose. I mean, I don't know, but I suppose it is possible. It would be very, very, very cool if it was. Like I said, I'm just hypothesizing because I didn't see these lions. I thought, like I said, that the cubs were much older, but those cubs are tiny, 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 tiny. Emmet lions can be very good at hiding. They're a predator, so they need to be good at hiding. All predators have to have some semblance of camouflage in order to hide when they're hunting. Otherwise, all they're going to do is serve to show themselves, and that's not going to mean that they're not going to get any food. So they are very good at hiding, and when they are denning, even better so. A lion den in this kind of terrain, after all the rain we've had, is going to be near impossible to find. But you see here, if we're going straight on this road, so this is something with tracking that is try and kind of help people often with this, is that if you have a look here, you've got a road, and there's a path that goes dead straight. Now, if this is lions or leopard, and they want to get into the drainage line, they're going to take this path. It's the straightest route to get to the drainage line, and so that would be a place that you would check. Now, I'm pretty sure that this path has been walked by elephant or buffalo or hippos, but often what you'll find is because they've walked and cleared the grass a bit, so the lions then start to use it as well, or the leopards, and you can start to build up a sort of pattern going in. And if we start to see tracks going in and out and then back in and out, then you know that the cubs are hidden there and the lioness is doing her movements around. So I just want to check this little section here just to see if there's any tracks that are around. Unfortunately, a car has driven here this morning, so they've driven over the tracks. So this is a track for a big Ellie bull that's walked through here, and I can't see if the lions went through with it because it's stood everywhere. That looks like the little lion cub track. I just want to check, make sure it's not a civet. So it doesn't help that this road is very hard at the moment. And one thing I will not be doing is I will not be walking lion cubs this small with the grass being this long, because what that's going to mean is I'm going to stand on them, and I'm going to get myself into a lot of trouble, and I don't really feel like being eaten today. It's not really a day for that. Not that there ever is really a day to be in the grasp of a lion, or a mother lion particularly. So we'll try and kind of not do that today. Henry, we have started off-roading a little bit again in places. Right up on the crests we can start off-roading, but it's still very wet in places. I mean, the seep lines are running strong at the moment. So, you know, full proper off-roading like we do normally in the winter, I reckon maybe 2 months, a month, if we don't get any more rain, but we predicted to get a whole bunch more rain this week. So I reckon we can look probably even, if we do get a lot more rain, sometimes it can be even as much as May, June, before you can start off-roading again on the seep lines. It's going to take a long time. There's a lot of water that needs to run before it can change. Unfortunately, a car is driven here and the rest of the road is too grassy and too hard to actually see where these guys drove, or where these guys walked. But I suspect it's straight into the drainage line in order to go and drop off these cubs. And the Nkuhuma Pride, just to give you an idea, the whole pride walked straight to where these tracks are heading, and then they all turned and came out at the bottom here. So if it was tortured lionesses, I don't understand why they would take their cubs towards the Nkuhumas. It doesn't make any sense to me at all. I didn't actually even check those lionesses yesterday properly to see if there were suckle marks on them. I didn't even think about it. And we kind of didn't have visual for that long. But maybe that's what's happened. Maybe the Nkuhuma lionesses, the young ones, you know, they've been mating a lot of late. Maybe they managed to have cubs without us knowing. Be interesting to see. Either way, those are tiny, tiny little fluffy balls of tawny goodness, and so hopefully we will find them at some stage, but I'm definitely not walking into the Mulawanini today to go and look for them, that's for sure.
Welcome to my car. This is Wendy, and she's my favorite. She would love to have your name engraved on her so you can be with her every single time she goes on a safari here in Djuma. If you become a Wild Earth Explorer, you will have the opportunity to buy an engraved tag which we will attach to her. We will make sure to send you a digital picture to show you exactly where you are sitting on her. You will have front row seat in every single sighting.
What makes Anbion Pinder Private Game Reserve so special is our massive array of habitats, and with that comes of course a beautiful diversity of landscapes, but also an incredible biodiversity in terms of plants, bird life and animal life, as well as of course our conservation success stories with cheetah, with rhinos, now with pangolins too.
Catch up with the guides daily here on Wild Earth. Have you been watching Wild Earth and dreamt of being right there on safari with one of the guides? Well, now you can. Wild Earth is offering you a chance to buy a ticket to dream. You or a friend can hop on board a live Wild Earth show and join our guide on safari. The ticket is redeemable at any of our locations, anytime in the future. Only a limited number of tickets are available, so don't wait. Get your ticket now and start dreaming. Terms and conditions apply.
I've seen something I've never seen here before. Look at these cubs. One is crossing the river. It's being washed away, unfortunately, but I'm sure the mother is going to save her. Look at that. How beautiful. Look at that. One crossing, two to go. How cool is this?
Expect the unexpected here on Wild Earth daily. In a world full of upheaval, we all need a quiet and safe space to breathe. A place where anxiety and stress don't exist. A place where life carries on as normal. Escape to nature with Wild Earth.
Welcome back, everybody. Well, guess what we've managed to track down? Lo and behold, the buffalo herd. Enormous herd of buffalo. They're on some on the left and some, majority of them on the right-hand side of us. We are on Buffelshoek, and it's a really big herd, and that is a big bull. And I know in the beginning of the show, somebody asked me, is it the kind of weather for wallowing buffalo? And on our way up, one was in a little pan to the left of us, and it got out and moved back into the thickets. So we had some wallowing buffalo, and now we've got dead pan buffalo. How long can he stare at us like that for? And there's a female. She's in very good condition, as was he. Oh, and there's another one also coming from the back there. Buffalo everywhere. Now, that bull on the left is a beast. And you see how the boss comes all the way down his forehead. Oh, look at the size of him. Look at the size of that fellow. Now, he's a prime breeding bull, and that is the typical buffalo sort of behavior. The head held high, the nostrils flaring, always glistening in the sunshine, and those horns. Look at the size of his body, his neck. And it's because of fellas like that many of our older buffalo bulls decide to retire. Because if any of you have ever played any physical sport, you know what it's like when you start getting a little bit older and these youngsters coming through are just physically stronger and fitter, and they just don't seem to have any concern for the welfare of their body. Well, that's what happens with buffalo, and eventually you just get tired of the game and you can't keep up with the youngsters. All professional sport is like that, so you could think of a buffalo herd as a professional sport team. Paul, you love how they just stare at us. It is quite disheartening sometimes, Paul, I'll be honest with you. If you get that on foot, you never quite know what to do. You get a buffalo herd looking at you like that, or a couple of bulls looking at you like that, because, you know, invariably, there's nothing to stop a buffalo bull from charging. There really is nothing. And they do. But in herds like this, they generally snort and run off. So I'm going to move forward. Maybe we can get a few more of them in the open here. Like I said, they're all around us, yeah? Either side of the road. But a big herd. Lots of them in the thickets to the right-hand side. Known as the Cape or the Savannah Buffalo. Look at this fellow. And they love long grass. This is their choice grass. They have the ability to use their tongue, everybody, to sort of crop the grass. Buffalo don't like eating short grass. They like to eat tall grass. Sort of knee height, waist height grass is their preference. And what they actually do is they chop it down a bit, and it facilitates it better for the zebras, and then the zebras in turn for the wildebeest. And so in turn, on our way through here, following this herd, you could find, and Paul was quite amazed actually, because I know I've been talking about the garden service, and I don't say that in a derogatory term. They absolutely destroy the vegetation on their way through. They really do mow down the grass, and they also flatten it. Not only flatten it, but they lie down it and squash it, and it makes it much easier to see. At the same time, they also drop an enormous amount of ticks on the ground. So I've got a few scratches yesterday from walking into buffalo-infested grasslands. And the problem is the little pepper ticks you can't see. You can't see them, and then they grow substantially overnight while sucking your blood. Let's hope that this year I don't get tick bite fever. Ian, that is the shoulder right there, so it's not the backbone, that is the shoulder girdle. So that's where the attachment of the two front legs goes, and then in front of that is the neck, and the neck is a proper solid neck. So like with all animals, when you have a look at them, they've got a very big shoulder girdle. You see how he's chopping the long grass and looking at you like you owe me something. And so you're seeing the hips, which are elevated, and you see the shoulders, which are elevated. And that is just the way that it works. Just like us, if you stand up straight, your shoulders actually stand out the back. And if you had to support an enormous amount of weight, like buffaloes do, you would need big, powerful shoulders, and you'd need a big, powerful muscles and attached to large bones, which is the girdle. So that's essentially not the back at all, the shoulder, but then the spine is between the hips and the shoulder, and obviously the neck as well, which is above the shoulder, all of it connected to the spine. That's also where the muscle attachment of the neck goes. And look at all that muscle all the way down. And look at that. Oh! I love it. So, very water-dependent animals. Ooh. Gosh, they're not aggressive. They're just misunderstood. They look aggressive. They look really aggressive, and they're a big animal that's got a lot to fear in life. And you know, just big animals that don't like to be disturbed have the ability to push back. And if a buffalo does push back, it hurts. So it's not that they are aggressive. I know James Hendry as well, he doesn't like the word aggressive. We like to talk about the words potentially dangerous. I'm right here now, everybody. These animals are just going about their daily habits of feeding in the open grassland. They've probably had a little bit. Let's have a look at this one who's coming up to cause all sorts of trouble. I'm only joking. He's not coming to cause trouble. They're not aggressive animals. But if you push them, they fight back. That's just the way it is. And if you push someone who's much bigger than you and he pushes you back, it's going to hurt everybody. And essentially that is what happens. If you go play with someone's prize bull, it also can be extremely dangerous to play with. And it's not because it's being aggressive, it's just its movements and its body size have the ability to squash you. I mean, in the last couple of years, a few people have been killed by giraffe. Now, giraffe are not aggressive, everybody. By no means are they aggressive, but a giraffe that swings its neck at someone as a friendly gesture of give me some more food has the potential to really, really hurt you. And so, unfortunately, humans have moved into wildlife areas and we see these animals as aggressive when actually we should just leave them alone. Give them a huge wide berth and we'll have no issue at all. I've never had any issues with buffalo, ever. I've walked them, I've encountered them by the vehicle hundreds of times, and I've never ever had any issue with a buffalo. So, but if I drove right up to them and started harassing them with my car or try to run up and push them around, there's a very good chance I could get my car damaged or myself badly injured. So that's just unethical, first of all, and asking for trouble. Here we got our big boys walking through the open here. Sorry to change the angle, but I'm loving this fellow in the front. He is a magnificent, magnificent beast. And to hold that head up requires enormous amount of muscle, and those horns, although they look a little bit misshapen and behind the head, they know exactly where the tips of those horns are. I've seen videos of buffalo running in and picking up a lioness of 140 odd kilograms with the tip of that horn, catching her exactly where it wanted to and flicking her like a rag doll. 140 kilograms flicked 10 feet in the air. Now that is a buffalo being aggressive because lions are trying to eat its friend. That is defense. I don't think being defensive is aggressive. Being defensive, self-defense, I wouldn't say anyone who practices self-defense is an aggressive person. Self-defense is self-defense, and when an animal's life is at risk, even try and go catch a small little daker, I promise you it's going to hurt you. When animals' lives are in danger, they have the potential to be quite dangerous and quite painful to the human touch, and we just aren't tough enough to really sustain or survive many of the injuries that we could incur. Well, let's have a look at that female over there, and now tell me if she's being aggressive or if she's been injured before. Now, that would make you also quite grumpy. If you lose your tail, you get a very bad scratch on your bottom. So Tommy wants to know if buffaloes make the same sounds as cows. They do, Tommy, they do. They make very similar sounds to cows. They are all part of the same greater family. Very much like it. They make a few more grunting sounds, and there's lots of pushing and shoving that goes on. But invariably, they smell like cows, they look like cows, and they sound like cows. And when you find their dung, it looks just like that of cows, and even their tracks. So they are bovids, part of the same family, but they are very, very wild. The cows that we see around the world, many different breeds of cows, have all been domesticated from a breed of wild cow that was around a very long time ago. That we were able to sort of bring underneath domestication, underneath people care. But the buffalo is not one of them. The buffalo are not tameable. There we go. You can hear some noises on the right there. Just muscle, solid muscle. And apart from one female, this group of bulls is all prime breeding candidates who are sort of hanging on the outskirts and will be very, very useful in protection of the herd if lions do approach. But in the meantime, let's send you over to the west, to Tswalo Kalahari, who found some very small critters.
Well, welcome back to the west, and how lucky are we? We just stumbled upon the little Makala group of meerkats, and you can see how close they are to the vehicle. Very curious. And there's a lot of ground cover at the moment, which obviously is a lot more comfortable for them. So if you can imagine now, if we didn't have this ground cover, these little animals walking on the bare surface, I mean, if we have a 40-degree day, the ground surface, the soil temperature is nearly 50 degrees Celsius. Well, so their pads are specially adapted. They've got very thick, rubbery soles to withstand this very, very hot surface temperature. They're going to come jump in the vehicle with me. They're somewhere here. Let me just take a look where they are. There's one over there, Craig. There's another individual. Is he scouting out? You can see that they just don't have any fear of humans whatsoever. And that's a great activity that we have here on Swahili for Guests, is that we have built this relationship up over the past couple of years where they see us as absolutely nothing. No, I think that they really enjoy Land Rover. Land Rover is their favorite, and under the car they go. Guys, you can't be... they're looking at the model. They haven't seen this older model yet. So they're literally at the wheel. You can see they're actually utilizing the shadow of the vehicle. Obviously a little more comfortable for them. So it's such a great activity and experience to get up and join them early morning, and then walking with them throughout the day, especially in winter, is such a treat, because throughout the day they are very busy foraging, looking for animals. And what an experience it is. There's literally 4 of them under the vehicle right now. Yeah, they're hiding from you, Craig. Making Craig's last day a little difficult. Oh. There's one in front of the vehicle there, Craig. So no negative or positive influence, and where they just see us as nothing. They've got no regards to our presence. And that's a wonderful thing, because you don't want their behavior to be changed. You want to be experiencing natural behavior. Can you see this one here, Craig? Is this too close? Look how he's stretched out. Just go nice and slowly. This young individual here close to Craig is actually stretched out. When they want to cool themselves down, they actually shift a little bit too close. They actually shift the top layer of soil and then expose the cooler under parts, and then they stretch out with their bellies touching the cooler parts of the soil in order to cool down. But really remarkable to see how relaxed they are with us. Sorry, FC, could you please resend that for me? Zana, yes. Their vocalization capability is quite wide. So they'll have different alarm calls or different call signs for different threats. So they'll have a specific call for an aerial predator. They'll have a specific call for a ground predator, just so that they know how to react. And obviously, keeping in vocal communication with one another is a very, very important activity. If you don't keep tabs with what's going on around you with your colony members or your clan members, that's when you could get caught. So a few different vocalizations. Oh, everybody back to mom. So a few different vocalizations depending on the threat itself. Lovely. And what a treat. We did not expect that. We're just going very, very slowly, and we spotted them on the eastern side of the road here. And it's just lovely viewing them in a different scene. Just like we had them out west a couple of days ago, viewing a different group in a different environment is a real treat. Oh, dig, 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 dig. So using those very, very long claws to shift a lot of sand very quickly, and that nose is guiding that animal to where that prized item is. See the one digging there? And like I've mentioned before, this animal can shift its own weight in soil in under a minute, so about 700-800 grams for a fully grown adult. Jackie, they are favoured and loved by a lot of people. We have people visiting Tshwalu. We have Tshwalu guests visiting here that just want to see meerkats. People are really enjoy meerkats. And it's a real treat to be able to be so close to them and watch their behavior like this. Alrighty, but they're moving off now. Let me see if I can move the vehicle up for us a bit. See if we can get a better view on them. Let me just jump in here very quickly. Just behind this bush. Alrighty, so while these little meerkats head off west, we're going to lose view of them in the next couple of minutes, but let's send you off to Steve with those buffalo.
Thanks, Carl. Well, our buffaloes are feeding as well, and they're slowly moving off into the thickets as well, just above all those bulls you saw before. Heads down. The majority of the herd is on the other side of this band of trees. I reckon many of them are still lying down. We had a bit of grumbling and groans happening, so maybe they started to move. If you watched this morning, we discussed at quite a bit of length the digestive system and rumination of the giraffe. And now that fellow has decided he's going to plop down in the shade, and it's time to do some ruminating. And I can show you some very fresh dung. We know we showed you this morning, or just now, how yesterday's dung looks like. Now this is very fresh. This has fallen minutes ago, and the flies are on it, but the coloration is green, like what we saw before on the inside of the dung. Now this is on the outside is green. So what happens with most grasses that get fed upon is there's huge amounts of silicates in the grasses due to the granitic soils. There's silica in all of the grasses, and generally because buffaloes are trying to be quite discerning, they still get some silica in the dung. So the silica actually goes black after it oxidizes, and that's what causes the outside of the dung to go black. We see that with white rhino, but very finely chewed, very finely sort of broken up. But you can see around it, there's a huge patch of moisture all the way around that dung. So the buffalo are very, very bad at recycling their moisture, and it's what makes them have to stay close to water for the most part. They can't go very far away, and their range is 100% determined by the availability of surface moisture. And you can see how quickly the flies have found it. They're going to lay some eggs, and the whole process will start over again. Almost actually see a change in colour. Okay, well, let's see if we can get you another view of these buffalo. I think a larger portion of the herd is just up and around the corner. They're all sort of in the bushes over here. We just found ourselves in the shade of a tree, which was quite lovely for the moment. But now we seem to be losing our herd. Don't drive over the buffalo dung. Very fresh. They're all in here, but Tristan reckons, because he saw a lot of them this morning, he reckons they're in the 300s. See that? Of course buffaloes are social. They occur in these massive herds. Of course, yes. If they were not social, you would not find them in groups. And obviously, the older they get, the less social they become, just because of the pressures that undergo what's going on in the herd here. There's huge pressure. Oh, we've got some shade. Let's utilize the shade here while we try and frame up a buffalo. You're right there. There's a youngster. There's a youngster over here. Very cool coat. So yes, they are very social, and you could almost say matriarchal in a way. There's a group of females that lead the herd. They know exactly where they want to go. And you have groups of males that move in and out, dominant breeding males. Females will stay in the herd for life, and groups of males can move off and split off into bachelor groups to regain condition, then return again, or eventually leave the herd entirely as old retired bulls. Pretty much most of the antelope species, bovid species we see, we would regard as social. The smaller ones, Duiker, Steenbok, Grijsbok and the like, they are not social. The small ones are sort of, they pair for life, and you'll find them in groups of one. Look at that one at the back, was just busy tasting some urine. See the one right at the back of the screen? Let's see when he lifts his head up again. One right at the top. Come on, show us your face. Oh, he's going to get screen blocked. He did a bit of a phlegm and grimace there before. Not sure wants to know if buffalo poop can be used as a heating source. I suppose it could be. Compost is very well utilized for heating water. If you run pipes through compost, the breakdown of the compost actually causes a lot of heat, and it will cause warmth. So if you could accumulate enough buffalo dung and put it in a pile, definitely could be used as a heating source. You could also use the buffalo dung to pave your floor and build walls out of. A very well-known tradition in Zulu cultures with cattle dung, using the manure for the buildings, the inside of the buildings. It's essentially just grass, everybody, that's been pounded down into a much sort of more pliable material, almost a paste. But yes, definitely does get warm, and that's when I was talking about before, that if it doesn't get dealt with, it actually burns off in a form of methane, especially in large numbers, large amounts, without any insects. You get huge amounts of methane development. But out here, there are plenty of organisms designed to and do deal with the dung of these animals. And as we discussed many times before, the buffalo don't always move in the same area. They're constantly sort of spiraling out, utilizing new areas, sort of like petals of a flower, returning back to the same water source, but always cycling out, bedding down, decomposing their dung, digging it into the ground with their hooves, leaving it behind, chewing the grass, and making life for all the other animals far more pleasant.
Do you dream of traveling to a far-flung wilderness location where life continues as normal? A place where you can escape to nature and breathe. If you become a Wild Earth explorer, then this could soon become a reality. Subscribe today and stand a chance to win regular travel prizes. Wild Earth Explorers, it's in your nature.
Looks like it's a very difficult climb because every time it tries to climb, the ground is breaking, so it slides down. But it's the only one. Look at that. That is a call of desperation with a cub. It's like, what are you doing, mommy? Oops. Oof.
Expect the unexpected here on Wild Earth daily. For the month of January 2021, we are offering a chance to win a unique Wild Earth expedition to the magnificent Tswalu Kalahari. From the ancient Kortai's Koranenberg Mountains to the southern Kalahari's red sand dunes, Tswalu offers what travelers crave most: space and time. The winner will explore this landscape in a vehicle, on foot, or on horseback, with a chance to go behind the scenes with Wild Earth and of course meet the Meerkats. The prize includes a 3-night stay for you and a friend at the luxury Motse Lodge, including flights from either Johannesburg or Cape Town. Open to all Wild Earth explorers who have signed up before the end of January 2021. Terms and conditions apply.
My favorite animal is a leopard, purely because I just think they are just the epitome of feline grace and power, and the way they can move about in any environment and remain hidden until they want to be seen, I just find incredibly intoxicating, and they're amazingly beautiful.
Catch up with the guides daily here on Wild Earth.
Well, perfect. Way to end off is to find this little guy who is ever so fittingly decided to make an appearance on his name day. We were hoping we would find him, given that, we saw him this morning, but one's never certain if they're going to find a little leopard cub. This area is thick, it's wet, it's not that easy to pick him up, and I think the only reason we found him in the end is because I've driven this drainage now about 4 times, and a herd of elephants came out. And the elephants were enough to lure him out, because he, obviously, being a young leopard, cannot help but go and investigate everything and anything. And that's why he's kind of sitting beautifully on the edge of the Mulawanini at the moment. It's very, very pretty with the green grass and him sort of lying down and having a bit of a yawn. Now, I was saying that it is naming day today. So the reason it's naming day is because, well, he's getting to that age, and a lot of you have been asking about names, and so it was decided that the Djuma guides, as well as some of the landowners, and James, who was the first one to see this particular fella, would all have a bit of a say. And so that means it's now time for the ceremony. So you've all gathered, patiently waiting, as our young boy makes an appearance, who has decided to come and look in his absolute finest clothing. He has got his spotted coat on, his coat is clean, and he is ready to hear what he shall be called for the remainder of his life. And it's hopefully going to be a long life, given that he is part of a very special lineage. His great-grandmother, Safari, who was a legend and survived until 19 years old. His grandmother, Karula, who too is an absolute legend of this area and possibly one of the most famous leopards to grace the earth. And then his mom, who has become a legend in her own little right as well. So he comes from good stock. His female side of his family tree are all very special cats, all of whom have done amazing things, and I hope that this little fellow will do the same. He's got a lot to live up to, but so far, so good. Now, his name is quite difficult in terms of spelling and then being able to say it. It's not that difficult to say, but the spelling, if you try and say it normally, will make no sense whatsoever. And so basically, the spelling is Maribiye, okay? And in the local language, that means basically, which I'll tell you how to say it now, in the local language, it means that he is from the rocks, or of the rock. And the reason why he's been given this name is because of the amount of time that we have seen him on rock. So first rock, here in the Mulawanini as well. And I think it's quite fitting because his older brother was named Tumba, which means boulder. So we have Rock and Boulder in the family now, if you want to call it English names. And the way to say it is Maribs, which basically is M-A-R-I-B-S is how you pronounce it, but it is spelt M-A-R-I-B-Y-E. So we now dub the Maribs, and he shall forever be known as that, which will be very, very cool, and hopefully he will carry it long into the future. I think it's quite a cool name. It's going to take a bit of people getting used to it. Like I said, not the easiest to say, but if you ever forget his name, just think of Mariepskop. That is the big mountain range to the west of Djuma Private Game Reserve, and so he is Marieps. That should be able to kind of remind you. So we dub the Marieps. Young fella, do you approve? He's too busy watching pigeons fly by. Are you okay with that? Yes. Good. Are you going to live up and be a legend? Yes. Good. All right. So there we go. Lucky you say spot finally. I mean, I feel like we haven't done too bad today. It's not taken us that long. I mean, it's only kind of 5:15, so I feel like an hour to find spots is really not too bad. We had a nice sighting of him this morning as well. Yesterday afternoon, yesterday morning. So we've had kind of 4 drives with this little fella, and I've absolutely loved every minute of it. Yesterday afternoon was possibly my favorite sighting of him, tied with another sighting that I had with him and his mom on First Rock. That was absolutely amazing. We had the two of them at sunset on these rocks. They drank from this beautiful little pan. It was super cool. But yesterday, him messing around in the water, chasing his poop down the water, looking at a snake, stalking some nyala for a little bit. He was a busy boy yesterday. And it was just the most magic setting, in this flowing riverbed, to have him walking from side to side and moving about. It was a very, very special afternoon. So I'm not complaining at all that we've had so much time with him. I'm going to be sad not to see him for the next 2 weeks, but luckily in 2 weeks' time we'll be back and be able to kind of catch up with him again. It'll be good. Got a long way to go still in life. He's made it as far as to get a name, which is an achievement in itself. He looks pretty proud of himself, doesn't he? Standing to attention. Now, I'm sorry if my microphone is making a bit of noise. I'm going to try and fix it. Just give me 2 seconds. It should be better now. There we go. It's sometimes the connection on the microphone has a bit of a scratch to it, so I apologize about that. I think we've managed to sort it out now. It should be okay. The only problem is that he has chosen probably the hottest spot on the reserve right now. It is absolutely baking in here. There is no wind to speak of at all, and with all this moisture and the sun that's been baking, the humidity level is very, very high. Feels like it's at close to 100%, so not very comfortable, but where he's lying will be nice. It's right on the edge of the bank, and that area there will still be nice and damp, and so fairly cool. Look at his tail. You see, as these Franklins start, the tail lifts and starts to twitch. It's almost just to say to the Franklins, I'm not doing anything, leave me alone, just let me sit here and enjoy myself. Very, very cute. We shall call it, he needs to be Mariebs of House Djuma, and, son to the new queen. That's what his title shall be. He shall have a noble title, shall our little prince. It's another prince that we've got. I mean, Hosanna will be the prince, but he'll be the second prince, or third prince actually, because Tumba was also a little prince too at one point. He's very pretty though, this cat. I must be honest, his eyes have really come around. When he was younger, his eyes almost had because a lot of the time when leopard cubs are born, they have blue eyes. And his was kind of it was almost like a milky blue. It wasn't a bright blue like some of them have. But slowly but surely his eyes have lightened a little bit, and he really has a magnificent kind of look about him now. These beautiful, bright, sparkly eyes. And his coat has also changed slightly. It's not as light as it was. He was quite a white cat when he was younger. He had lots of long white fur, which must have been his little baby fur that he hadn't grown out of completely. But his coat color is starting to come in now. He's not gold like his mom, but he does have a slight sort of yellowish tinge to him, which is becoming really pretty with that sort of white chest and those light colored eyes. He's got a little bit of kind of Columbus eyes now. Columbus also has quite light colored eyes these days. They have a very similar eye color, the two of them. I'm super chuffed though that we managed to find him on our last afternoon. I wonder if he's going to be playing in the water like he did yesterday at some point. He'll get bored eventually, and he's hopefully going to do the same antics. I mean, his tracks are absolutely everywhere. He has walked this riverbed up, down, sideways, so he's clearly trying to keep himself busy. There's lots of birds that are all over the riverbed. There's, things that are bumbling past in the flow of the water, which is getting less and less by the day. It's actually amazing how much it's dropped since yesterday afternoon even. But yet he's still fascinated by all of it. It must be so much fun for him in many respects to have this flowing water. It's not something he's seen a lot of in his time. And as a young individual, when you're left by yourself, to have a bit of flowing water, to have birds around, to have, the odd little fish that will scuttle past. There might even be little crabs that are around. All of these things will just make for a lot of entertainment if you're a young leopard. And I think he's probably enjoyed all of it. That's for sure. All right, well, we're going to spend the afternoon with this little fella. Hopefully we'll have a bit of entertainment later, and he'll kind of live up to his name and go and climb the nearest rocks, which are really close by. In the meantime, let's send you to Swallow, who's found the cats that they were looking for.
Well, with the very hot temperatures that we are experiencing today, it is best to seek shade. Oh my word. There is some shade for you people, for you folks. It's just a nice shady spot. There's nothing much there for right now. They are flat cats. There's a tail. There are two cheetahs just relaxing in that shady patch, and they are so flat in and amongst that ground cover that one can't even see them. And they opted for a bit of shade through this very hot period of today. So these are the two dominant boys that we've seen a few times. Myself and Craig found them after we set off from you folks yesterday. We found them meandering down to the pan. And they haven't gone too far from where we found them yesterday. And what I would really like to see is the status of their stomachs. So if they are hungry, what we'll do is maybe stick with them for the afternoon and see what they get up to. There are some springbuck north of us. We had a big oryx just move off here to the west. And I think it's just too hot for them to do anything right now. But seeking shade through these hotter periods is vital. To be exposed in the sun is just not clever. And these two boys are literally joined at the hip. They don't spend a lot of time apart from each other, and if they are somehow split, they will frantically look for their sibling. Vocalization is the easiest way in how they relocate and find each other again. And it's a very distinctive call. Almost in the distance sounds like a bird chirping. Also just listening to all the beautiful bird calls. The most dominant call that you folks can hear there is the Kalahari scrub robin. It's very songful, very melodious, sharp whistling. But as you folks can see, with a little bit of cover like that, those cats absolutely blend into that environment. And what they would want is just for an antelope or two to walk by, and then they are in the perfect position. Obviously, if you look at cats and how close they need to get to their prey, it is quite remarkable. 40 to about 60 meters they have to get in with range to their potential prey to have a good enough shot to capture that prey item. So when you can just relax like this and conserve energy, you should do so. But then also puts you in a great spot now. You're concealed, nothing really can see you. And obviously animals are drawn into the water which is nearby. Lucky, what preys on a cheetah in Tswalu? Nothing much, really. Carnivores really don't prey or predate on each other. They kill each other for interest-specific competition, so a certain food source that they would be competing for. One thing that would injure a cheetah and potentially kill a cheetah here is a spotted hyena. A spotted hyena is a very, very powerful and very dominating individual, and if a hyena had to get a cheetah, I'm sure it would put it down very quickly. I've seen the wild dogs chase cheetah countless times up into trees. I think that if a pack of dogs had to corner a cheetah on the ground, they would inflict a lot of damage. And if you think about this cat getting up to top speed is obviously an amazing achievement, but it uses every little part of its body. So if you injure a part of your leg, a ligament, or anything that is detrimental to this cat getting to top speed. So spotted hyena could be a big threat, and then the pack of wild dogs. And then if a leopard had to, then once again it has to be cornered. Whereas a cheetah's not going to corner a leopard, and they would go their separate ways upon seeing each other. Once again, like we spoke of this morning, organisms want to avoid conflict. You don't want to engage in a confrontation. But to answer your question, spotted hyena or wild dog would be the biggest threat to cheetah here. But not predating on them, not hunting them for nourishment, just competition. But if a cheetah sees a threat, it goes opposite way very, very quickly. Very easily intimidated, and they know that they don't have the tools necessary to defend themselves to a very high degree. So rather getting out the area, fleeing is the best option for cheetah. Well, we'll stick with these spots, but for now we'll send you to another place with some more spots.
Well, while Carl stays with his cheetahs, we are staying with our young lad. And yes, Franklins, we hear you. There's no need to celebrate. Someone's had a few too many cocktails at the naming ceremony by the sounds of things. Anyway, we're still sitting with Marips. He's taking it very, very easy at the moment. He's watching a squirrel that's bounding along the logs on the rocks. So he's kind of spending his time there. A lot of you might have missed that he was named Marips and how to spell it, so I'll do it one more time just so that everybody knows the spelling of this particular little leopard now, because it might not sound like it's spelled. So it's Maribye, and pronounced M-A-R-I-B-S, Maribs. So there we go. I should be able to help you guys in terms of being able to say it. What are you stalking now? He's stalking the squirrel. The squirrel's running around on the rocks, and I'm not sure he's a huge fan of the fact that the squirrels are on his little patch of turf. At his age, he is going to be starting to hunt things like squirrels, as well as lizards. There's giant plated lizards on these rocks as well that he'll go after. Are you going to bound across the water? Wouldn't it be cool if he went bounding across? I think he's going to go across. I don't think he's going to bound across there.
So, sorry about that, everybody, but we've caught up with our buffalo. Sometimes that's what happens when you're trying to film a live hunt, is the gremlins sneak in, especially on a Sunday. And as the light is slowly started to fade, or not fade, but slowly started to get to the afternoon more, the buffaloes are all up and slowly moving in a easterly direction. So, looking at where we are, they're probably going to head straight towards Nyala Dam area. And I'm hoping we're going to be able to get signal, but I don't think we get the greatest signal over there. But it's nice to be able to spend time with the herd, making all sorts of noises amongst us. And we are amongst them right now, which is quite special. The oxpeckers. There's a young oxpecker that started flying straight towards us before, thinking we were a buffalo, and then suddenly had to abort and fly off towards the left. Henry, the genetic diversity of buffalo in the Kruger is pretty good. There's no management of it. The herds are very big, and drafts definitely knock off the week. And there are plenty of buffalo in the Kruger. I think there's an enormously large population. So I haven't heard of them having to introduce any individuals. Generally, because Juma and where we are right now, Buffelshoek is open to the Kruger, Greater Kruger. The movement of these animals is far-reaching. Generally, management of genetics comes about in small reserves. The Greater Kruger National Park, including into the Limpopo Transfrontier in Mozambique, gets up to about 4.4 million hectares, which is enormous. The Kruger itself, just 2.2. And into Mozambique extends enormously. Kruger National Park is larger than the country of Wales. Okay, well, we're going to try to keep up with the buffalo, see what they get up to, but I think they're heading towards the east to go and have a drink.
Our first Wild Earth Explorers competition has closed. And we have a winner. Congratulations to Chantal Sleep from Benoni in South Africa.
I felt totally overwhelmed for winning this prize. I will be taking my son with me, and I can't wait to share this experience with him.
Chantal and her son have won a behind-the-scenes Wild Earth experience at the magnificent and beyond Ngala tented safari camp. The prize includes a 3-night stay and a chance to sleep out in the unique Ngala treehouse.
I would like to thank Wild Earth for making this dream come true, and I encourage everybody to subscribe, to become an explorer, and stand the chance to win these amazing prizes, and so much more.
For this month, we have a brand new prize. You could be jetting off to Tswalu in the Kalahari for a 3-night stay at the luxurious Motsi Lodge. Open to all Wild Earth explorers who have signed up before the end of January 2021. Terms and conditions apply.
Hello everyone, my name is Trishala and I am a naturalist and safari guide here in Djuma Game Reserve in the Sabi Sands in South Africa. I think that the information that we provide, and most importantly the questions that you ask, give both you and I a really good idea of what's going on. My friend Fernando here, he's a flat-necked chameleon, and I love them. They're just these gems that you manage to find in the bush.
Catch up with the guides daily here on Wild Earth. If you love to watch Wild Earth, then we are inviting you to join our Explorers program. For a monthly subscription, you will have the opportunity to win fantastic Wild Earth expeditions. Join our guides for a chat around the fire, receive weekly highlights from our shows, and much more. All the money will go to keeping these live safaris on air, which in turn allows us to escape into nature every single day.
Okay, there's another big male coming in from our left here. Another big male, look at this. This is the one. Now you're going to see sparks fly, guys. Guys, it doesn't get better than this, though. Yes. Unbelievable. Africa, I love you, eh?
Expect the unexpected here on Wild Earth daily.
Well, as you can see, he's done exactly what his name suggests and has gone and sat on the rocks. He was actually walking away from us, and then he kind of looked over his shoulder and was like, actually, hang on, I'm rather going to come back and just sit back down here out of the sun. I think his face hit the sun. He was like, whoa, 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 it's way too hot to be there. I'm going to rather just sit on my little rock and enjoy some time on my rocks rather than going into the sunshine. But this is why we've named him this, is because literally he lives around rocks. His whole life has been spent around a rock, whether it be first rock or here in the Muluwanini. He's been kind of seen a lot in these areas, and sort of the rock means is an apt name. And like I say, I like the fit with kind of Tumba. You know, Tundi's two last boys have a little common thread in that regard, which is cool. If he's anything like Tumba as he grows up, he's going to be an absolute treat. He's a little bit more silly than Tumba was, though. Tumba was a very serious cat. He was like the kind of kid that went to college straight away, got his doctorate, became a successful business person and kind of did everything by the book, whereas his other kind of male that was around at the time, Osana, was the complete opposite. He did gap years and all kinds of other things in his life. He was the more adventurous of the two. It's kind of how it felt when they were here, if we were to liken it to the children of this world. But it is blazing. I'm so glad he's in the shade, because we are in the sun and getting absolutely hammered by the sun. It is very, very, very hot where we are. Whew. Boy, can you not go and park yourself on one of the other rocks where there's a shady spot for us? The sun won't be too much longer, and then it will be behind the trees, and we'll have some respite from the heat. Isn't he beautiful on there? I think he's the most wonderful little cat. I have all the time in the world for young leopards, but he's grown on me a lot in the last few months, the last 2 months particularly. I've spent quite a lot of time with him as well. I've been very, very fortunate to spend a fair amount now with this little guy, and every time I do, he seems to become that much better and that much more open to being viewed and kind of seen. Ross, when he reaches maturity, will he stay in this area? The likelihood is no. It is possible, but the likelihood is no. What you'll probably find is that given his age and given that there's a number of males around, you must remember that he's going to be in competition with Quarantine, Intrangula, Hukamuri, Tortoise Pan, Tingana might still be around, Mulawati, Kuchava's son, who am I forgetting now? That's pretty much all the big guys for now. You see, he can't help himself. He's too curious. I think there's lizards on the rocks that are kind of fascinating him. Also, there's another car that arrived from the top, so I think he wanted to just go and check what are they up to before he comes back down to where we are. Just going to sit right there. So, those guys are all going to be much bigger and stronger, and they're going to push him a lot more. Sabui's son, that's the other one that I was forgetting. I knew there was one. And they're going to push him, and they're going to make sure that he's kind of, because he's going to be the smallest, it's going to be tricky for him. So I expect him to distribute much like Tamba did, much like Hosana has. These young males, unfortunately, life is tough, and there's other big males around. You've got to make space for them. And you unfortunately then end up, on the bottom of the rung, and you've got to move until you find a space that you can settle in. But he'll be here for a while still. I reckon we'll still see him for another year and a half at least, maybe even 2 years. If you look at Hosana and Tamba, they stayed for a fair while. I suppose Tamba not as much, but Hosana definitely stayed for a long time until he went. And that could all change. The dynamics could change. At the moment, we're going through a little bumper session of a number of leopards. We've got a lot at the moment, and that could, maybe Mulawati starts to push them all away and he becomes the only male, and then that's the only competition he has. And if Mulawati's dad, then he'll have less of a problem, much like Hosana and Tingana. Hosana was tolerated a lot more by Tingana because of that father-son relationship. And Tingana didn't really see him as a threat until much later on. And I don't think we ever saw Tingana aggressive towards Hosana, other than at a kill, which is, general kind of aggression that you're going to see even between mom and son or mom and daughter. But I don't think he'll stay. There's so many young male leopards around. It's amazing. If you think across the Sabi Sands at the moment, you've got Tortoise Pan, Hosana, Tamba, Masava, Inweti, White Dam, who else? Tavangumi. These guys are all the same age. They're all young leopards. You can't eat the little gecko. He said, no, he's a little gecko, leave him. But that is useful for him later in life because he's going to learn how to hunt by doing these and failing. You can see the curiosity is there to just bat at it. It's not serious hunting. The poor little geckos there. You know why I always feel sorry for them? Is because they lose their tail when he does that. They panic so much that they sometimes let go of their tail and autotomy happens. And a lost tail is not ideal because then the next thing that comes along they can't do it and it has to regrow, which requires a huge amount of effort and strain on the body. So if he's not going to catch them and eat them, it's always you want them to kind of not catch the tail or knock the tail off of those little diurnal geckos or normal geckos as well. So amazing. I love how curious he is of even us these days. He kind of comes down and he checks everybody out and he looks and he's happy to kind of sit and enjoy. And I'm going to go forward a little bit so we have a better view. All right, while I reposition, let's send you back across to Steve, who's at a watering hole.
Welcome back to the north, Bilvershoek. Welcome to Rubbing Post Dam. And I heard a buffalo that I anticipated might move a little bit further east. Walks into 2 big elephant bulls. Now the whole herd is turned and they're heading directly south towards this watering hole. So if we're very quiet and we sit very quietly, the herd will materialize out of the thickets to our left and come and drink. I was just telling Paul that it's something that I love to do on walks. on trails, because the buffalo are very predictable in that they are going to come and drink. And when you know where the watering holes are, you can basically walk all the way around, position your guests sitting down on the other side of the watering hole, in a safe place, of course, and wait. And if you don't move, and if you don't make any noise, the buffalo aren't aware that you're there. Obviously, if the wind is in your favor, you can view them coming down to drink beautifully. And unfortunately, there's no way for us to do that now. But we are on the sort of the western side of this pan, and they're going to come from our left-hand side. They're going to feed a bit on their way here, but they definitely are on their way here. Not going very far. This watering hole overflows into the stream that flows down to Tambuati. So where the buffaloes drank this morning, they actually came past this watering hole on their way up, and then they bedded down in the open areas you saw them before. And it was really funny. 2 really big elephant bulls came to the mix just now, and one smashed a tree down, showed the buffalo who's boss. And then he saw us and he thought, oh, hang on, those guys are bigger than the buffalo. Then he saw him pause. Guns. Hey, Paul, you saw those guns, you are. Not real guns, everybody. Hello, Tandy. I don't actually know how many watering holes we have. Obviously, this is rain-fed. So we've got Sydney's, Jacana, Rubbing Post, Tambuati, Jordan's, Nyala, Lily Pond, Big Dam, Kaimanzi, Hyena Dam, Cruise Camp. I hope someone was keeping count. Ten large watering holes in the north, all of them rain-fed. All of them rain-fed. The Sabi Sands in general, wherever you go in the Sabi Sands, there is a lot of water. You can hear the oxpeckers off to our left. The water's very enticing. We're going to sit right here as our buffaloes are slowly starting to emerge. And when you come back from Tswalu, Kalahari and their fast cats, I'm sure we'll have some buffaloes having a drink.
Well, good luck, Steve. We are just enjoying the activity of these armored ground crickets within this little camel thorn here next to the vehicle. We've got a very obscured view there, but Craig is trying his best to get a clear picture. And they are very busy. There's one there, Craig, in the middle there. It's just sitting still. I don't know if you can actually see it. But it shows you in one little camel thorn how much life is roaming around this tree. And obviously there'll be an ongoing war here between predator and prey. And this little tree provides a perfect haven for little insects to hide away, in between the leaves or in between the bark. And then obviously the nourishment that it provides, foliage-wise, is incredible. Let's see if we can find one here. Ah, there's one crawling around. There he comes. Look at that. You can see the long antenna. It's part of the longhorn cricket family. And these are large flightless crickets. You can see there's no wings. Obviously, the ability of flight is a remarkable thing because that allows you to venture out to find new food sources, to evade predators, but then also to find a mate. But these individuals, how bulbous and large they are flightless. And you could see once we get a view there, I'll show you exactly where they produce their sound from. Let's see if we can find another one. There is so many in this tree. The tree literally looks like it is. Here's one right here, Craig. As a monster. Oh my word. It's a little bit close, but Craig's going to try his best here to show us. Look there. There we go. Ginormous. And these individuals are just moving around now looking for food. And you can see how those antennae, those two long projections on top of the head or on the front of the forehead are moving around. And that's the sensory organ for this animal, just tasting and feeling various parts. And if it tastes food, that's when those little appendages, you can see just under the mouth there, those little appendages go to work. And it's got external moving mouth parts to chomp down on various things. Whoa, look at that. Alice, they are fascinating but also so important. You've hit the nail on the head. They are incredible. Biology, ecology, ethology, you name it. They are so complex. And they've been around for a very, very long time. So where they have suited themselves into different niches or different markets of the ecosystem, they have done a phenomenal job by driving ecosystems around the world. And if you think about plants and insects, they have a very, very, very close relationship with one another. You can see those little holes in the abdomen. You can see Craig giving us a great view. You can see those tiny little holes in the underside, the dorsal side of this abdomen of this insect. That's actually where the insect extracts or takes in oxygen from. It doesn't breathe through nostrils. Insects don't have nostrils like us, but they draw in air through tiny little holes. These little holes could be in various spots across the body. It's making a noise. Listen to that. Wow. Wow. And so that air is drawn into the body and then is basically utilized throughout the body. They've got a very different body plan in comparison to mammals, and remarkable, obviously found across the globe, and they are of vital importance, not only for eating and redistributing nutrients, but also becoming a very, very important food source for a host of different organisms. You can see those 3 pairs of legs. If Craig can get us very close, you can see tiny little hooks at the end of their leg or at the end of their foot. And obviously those hooks are very, very important. Like grapnel hooks, they hook onto structures and allow this animal to move through various habitats. Look at that. So that plate in the middle there, just behind the head, just at the back of that plate, at the far end of the plate towards the abdomen, that's where those redundant wings are, and that's where the sound is also produced. Look at that. Spider cricket, spider cricket. All right, but from insect to mammal, let's see what Steve has.
Thanks, Kyle. Well, this is an animal that encourages many insects in the form of ticks and flies. Our buffalo herd is slowly making their way down to the very sloshy, muddy wallow that is rubbing post. They're often quite cautious on approach to a watering hole, and the first individuals to arrive will often be very, very aware, very alert, and eventually the numbers just overwhelm them, and they will just start pouring in from the back. I'm just going to be quiet for a moment, allow you to listen to the sloshing of the mud as some individuals start to arrive. maybe hear a little bit of lightning, or should I say thunder. Spoke yesterday about cloud formation. And there's a huge cumulonimbus cloud forming to the west, to the east. Are you ready for it? Cumulonimbus, characterized by a towering mass of white cloud. And inside there is lightning, electricity being generated. And in comes an Egyptian goose. Oh no, it's a comb duck. Oh, hello, splendid. Wow, look at that. Look at him, he's a comb duck. Previously known as a knobbed-billed duck. That extension on his face is completely designed to impress the ladies. JM, no, as discussed earlier, buffaloes will work and walk around watering holes like the petals of a flower, figure of eighting to and from watering holes, so that whenever they move, they're moving through new grazing. Obviously, every now and again, when there's no food, they will go along well-worn paths to get to and from water. But now, what you'll see them doing is moving in these big petal-like arches to and from the watering holes. So even though they were here earlier, where we're parked on this side, they moved through this side. It went off to the north. Now they're coming back again, and when they finish, they're probably going to go off further to the east and maybe come back to this one again from a different angle, or go to a different watering hole altogether. So they try and avoid using the exact same spot. How splendid was the landing of that comb duck, eh? Well done, Paul. Okay, so the buffalo are slowly getting more and more relaxed to the sounds, and you'll see them soon now just start barreling down here. Sometimes they actually go all the way into the water as well to drink their fill. I'm just going to be quiet and allow you to listen to how these fellows drain the water.
Alright, we have just spotted a predatory bird, very high, and Craig is doing a great job of staying on it. It's busy riding the thermals, and thermals is heat that is rising from solar radiation. Obviously the land heats up and then that air rises vertically, creating this updraft, and that is perfect for raptors and birds like vultures, which utilize these updrafts of air to gain height, scan for available prey down below, or move great distances. And just like we saw the other day, the broad wing structure of vultures enable them to soar very, very high. It is the highest soaring bird there is, which would be vultures, and then below that you'd actually get geese. We're trying to ID it. It's very high. Here. You can see how it's going in a circular formation. It looks falcon-like. Oh, and it is going into the sun. So that makes it a little more difficult, like it when you have a shadow cast on the other side, but I will try my hardest to take a look what it is. Don't think it's a lanner, because a lanner has a plain chest, although a juvenile, whoa, high. I'm not sure exactly on how high that bird was, but it was high. So if you look at Lana falcon, Lana adult has a plain chest and belly, but the juvenile or immature has a very streaky breast. So what I'm going to do is once I park, I'm just going to take a look and then we'll ID that bird correctly. But lovely stuff to see a bird moving like that. And more than likely what it's going to do now is go out west. We actually know of a pair out west, and you can see that bird was going directly in towards the sun, which would be great. And Craig's going to give us a view west of here very quickly. Obviously it was chasing the sun, and the sun is setting west on the side. It sets west in the whole of the African continent, but going towards the sun. But lovely to see a bird utilizing natural ways of moving great distances and very, very high at that. So falcons are really remarkable aerial predators, catching birds on the wing, catching insects, but utilizing that height, you can really see far. They've got remarkable eyesight, but then also moving. So what the bird was is just using free energy going up, and then what it would do is just glide, a couple of kilometers on its wing. Obviously the air flow would be in the right manner where it is flowing in a certain manner that gives it lift to glide out west, where it doesn't have to use a lot of energy to move out there. But the sun is setting fairly quickly on the side, starting to cool down a bit. And you can see from the shadows there on the left-hand side of the tree, they are getting longer and longer. And we are still with these cheetahs. They haven't moved very far, these spots. But let's reposition over here quickly, Craig, and let's take a look. Let's see what they're doing. Hopefully they haven't given myself and Craig the sneaky. The other day we left the cheetah, came back, and they were gone. Did you hear that question, Craig? Elton, can you go with the question again, please? Wow, Beach Bunny, what bird would I like to be? Sure. Definitely a bird that soars. I find watching a bird soar is almost therapeutic. And I could imagine being a bird and just feeling the wind like under my wings and feeling the pressure, the wind rushing between the feathers. I think it would have to be something like a big raptor that can utilize thermals. What fascinates me even more is pelagic birds and how they fly. So maybe something like an albatross, where they obviously have a monogamous, very, very long life relationship with a partner, and they have multiple young, but just the way that they utilize any little bit of wind out in the open ocean is fascinating. So I think it would have to be a bird of prey or an albatross. African crowned eagle maybe. Or an albatross, yeah. Any other comments of what bird you would like to be and why? Let us know. Drop us a comment. It's always a very interesting thing, us as humans thinking about, what if we were an animal and what animal would we like to be? What bird would you be, Craig? Hardy-dar. Craig would be a hardy-dar. He would just annoy me. Okay, we got some yawning. That's a very good sign. That's going to go back to sleep. But normally you have predators yawning before they get up and move. Janet would like to be a red-tailed hawk. If I'm not mistaken, red-tailed hawk is from the States. Red-tailed hawk, yeah. Hawks are very, very agile flying birds as well. Very beautiful birds. Thanks for the comment there, Janet. Red-tailed hawk. Nice. It's always a beautiful thing to understand the diversity of avian species around the world. And if you look on different continents, you'll have certain family groups or certain bird families that are represented on different continents. There might be variations with the coloration, but yet you can still recognize that group. So, for example, if you look at Africa and India, You get representing birds on the African continent that you would find on the Indian continent. Things like bee-eaters, flycatchers, and then certain types of raptors. India's also got very, very beautiful birds, and a great diversity of them as well. Morningstar says that they would like to be a peregrine falcon, the fastest animal on this planet. Really remarkable bird. When it comes down from those extraordinary heights, it exceeds 300 plus kilometers an hour. And they are like high-speed bullets when they're after their prey. So basically when that predatory bird hits its prey is instantaneously lights out. You could imagine the kinetic force of that bird impacts its prey with. A remarkable bird. Puts itself into a diamond and it goes into something that they refer to as a stoop. And a really remarkable bird of prey. And think about the pressure on that bird's body. I mean, doing that massive dive and then changing, forces. Really incredible. So hopefully these spots get up very soon. We are starting to get a bit cooler. And this is when we hopefully will have some hooved ungulates move through here. But if we don't and they get up, we would be grateful just for that. And as we've spoken and as we've said before, patience is key out here. If you don't have the patience, you're not really going to enjoy it. And if you don't have the patience, you're not going to see all these amazing things. And they are on their own time schedule. DJ, do cheetahs have retractable claws? No. Cheetahs' claws are semi-protractable, so they are extended out of the sheath, and it's because of the ligaments and how they stand that the claws don't retract all the way into the sheath. And those claws are very important for when the animal is accelerating, just for extra grip, but then also for extra grip when this animal's taking these high-speed turns, just to give it extra grip to stay on point behind this very agile hooved ungulate. So the claws are always extended, and if you look at a cheetah's track, you would actually find the claws within the track. Unlike lions and leopards, where the claws retract all the way into the sheath to remain sharp all the time, and they'll only be present in a track if the animal slips in soft sediment. Then the animal obviously extends or uses the ligaments or contracts the ligaments, which pushes the claws out, and then obviously the claws are then presented in the track. But otherwise, lions and leopards all the way into the sheath, and then cheetah are somewhat semi-out, not all the way in, not all the way out. And that's why they use the dew claw found almost on the wrist of a cheetah. A dew claw is always sharp, it never touches the ground, and that's the claw that would be used to hook into the hide of the animal and then set the animal off balance. And that's when obviously they go for the throat. All the clouds coming off here from the east. There's some big clouds in the northeast of here. Craig's going to show us now. And these are just little fluffy ones in front of us still. But look at the development there on the right-hand side of your screen. Alrighty, so from spots in the mix of things to rosettes in the thickets. Let's send you over to Tristan.
We've had the most crazy afternoon with this little cat. He came right up to the back of the car and then he just sat there and watched us. He was like, this is perfect. I'm going to lie right where you guys are. And he literally lay within about a meter of us, just staring at the two of us for a long time. It was very, very, very cool. And then eventually he got up and he moved off and did his own thing. And then we came up here and he kind of has walked a little bit closer and is now watching us from inside the grass. He doesn't seem to want to go too far. He's just like, no, I'm quite happy to stay wherever you guys are. That suits me just fine, which is pretty cool. Quite happy with that. Yawny cat. I think he's going to go back down towards those rocks, though. He's come out a little bit and up the slope and away from the river. But I suspect that we're going to see him kind of moving back down. It's much safer down there than it is up here. So you don't want to be down in that riverbed too much. Away from the riverbed too much. He wants to be there also where Mom left him. And so he'll be shouted at by Mom if he's not where he was supposed to be. And we know that he can wander a little bit, but he'll need to stay fairly close by, otherwise Mom is going to get a little on the upset side. There we go. Back down he goes. So I'm just going to let him kind of go behind us before I start. I don't want to frighten him. He's going to do exactly what he did yesterday. It's the exact same route and everything that he did yesterday. It makes me laugh though, because he kind of looks over his shoulder and then sort of looks at us as if to say, are you guys coming or are you staying? And now you're coming back again. So now he's coming back. It's like he wants to almost play little games. You see how close he comes up to us? Amazing, isn't it? And then he just lies down and looks at us. He's a cute little cat, this. Look at those eyes, the way that he looks at us. Lee is asking about how many teeth do leopards have. So leopards, much like most carnivores, well, in fact, actually not much like most carnivores, because lions have a different set of teeth. I think it's 32. I must just double check though. I think it's 32 though. Let me just. I wonder if I don't have my book with me. I have a book that shows the canines, but I'm pretty sure shows the teeth, but I'm pretty sure it's 32 teeth in a leopard's mouth. Obviously they've got the canines, they've got the molars, premolars, incisors, but I'm pretty sure it's 32. Somebody will be able to check it on the interweb and let us know. His teeth won't be his adult teeth yet though, so when you see him yawning like that, although actually he should have now. I forget how old he is. It's crazy how time is flying. It's cool when they get their adult teeth though. You see sometimes you get like double canines, where they've got their little baby ones are going out and the big ones are coming through. But I think he might have his adult ones already. They look quite long and quite white to be his little baby teeth. It's cute, eh? He is such a little champion, this cat. I'm sure he's going to stand up again now. There we go. Are you going to come say hello, or are you going to go the other way again? Just give him a chance to get onto the road before he gets... Alright, so I've been reliably informed that a leopard has 32 teeth. And so that's about what we thought they would have. Like I say, what are you doing? Every time I move, you want to move. Every time I don't move, then you sit. It's not exactly ideal where he is at the moment. We've got another car in the sighting, so we're trying to just get them in. Elizabeth, maybe, I don't know. I mean, it's obviously one of those things you can't anthropomorphize too much, but if we've spent enough time with him for him to understand that we're not in any way, shape or form trying to injure him, hurt him, or do anything to him. So I would hope that he feels safe around us. You know, we've had him at kills, we've had him by himself, we've had him with Mom. All of those things are going to help with him relaxing and understanding that we're not something to worry about. We're perfectly fine, and the more that we're perfectly fine, the better he'll get and the more he'll understand. And if we just keep respecting his space and kind of letting him dictate what he wants to do. So if he wants to walk up to the car, absolutely fine, no problem, as long as he doesn't touch it. If he touches it, then we have a problem, and we will have to dissuade him by making a little bit of a noise or tapping on the side of the car. Those kind of things will often dissuade a leopard from touching it, because ultimately we don't want that behavior to be worked into it. You know, we're in open vehicles. Letting a leopard do those kind of things and they get older can ask for trouble. So better not to let them do that. I've seen a lot of videos of late of guides allowing leopards to do some pretty crazy things to cars. It shouldn't be allowed. It's not on. It might not be anything to worry about at this size, but when he gets to 13, 14 years old, teeth are worn, he's in bad condition, that memory of the fact that the cars and no one chased him and he jumps onto the car and grabs somebody is going to lead to a big problem. So I'm very, very much against allowing leopards to sniff number plates and bite the tires and those kinds of things. That kind of behavior should not be allowed at all. You know, if anything comes near the car like that, just a simple starting of the engine is enough just to stop him from, you know, coming closer. But anyway, so that's the thing, is he will feel safe, but you often just got to be aware and not allowed to go too far. Anyway, we're going to sit with him. Sounds like there's another spotty cat at Pinder, so let's send you across to them.
Welcome to and Beyond Pinder Private Game Reserve, everybody, and look what we have managed to find this afternoon. After a very late start, weather interrupting our plans for much of the afternoon, we've seized a little gap in the storm and we've come across this amazingly beautiful female leopard walking down the road, actually sitting and pausing now with the tail curled curiously to us, pausing while she carries on her patrol. My name's Ross, and behind the camera today is Glenn. And as I said before, we're coming to you on a rainy and Beyond Pinder Private Game Reserve afternoon. And here she comes, everyone. I'm going to just keep rolling backwards. She's been walking quite steadily along this road for probably about half an hour now, and we've been on and off trying to get pictures of her because she's been walking along a very rocky ridgeline as well alongside the road. It's been difficult to follow her and film her over. Wow, that was amazingly close. So we're going to follow her and see what she gets up to. It's beginning to get very close to sundown, and she's probably beginning to set on going about her territorial patrol. We have seen her mating with a male leopard a couple of months back, and we're expecting her to show signs of being pregnant very soon. And so recently she's been, look what she's doing there. She's scent marking there, spraying some urine onto that bush to communicate that this is her territory. And so all the other female leopards in the area will hopefully know, or when they come across that scent, to stay out of her territory. And she's been doing this increasingly more now as she gets closer to having babies, to make sure that when her babies are born that there's no interference within her territory, because other leopards could pose a very serious threat to her cubs. Look how she holds her tail like that above her back. It's so beautiful. Imagine you're a little leopard cub now following her through the grass. It's so easy to tell which direction your mother's going because you just follow that beautiful follow me sign. Pure white.
some birds alarm calling at her as she walks through this bush. And it's a very thick area that she's walking through at the moment. There's dense bush on either side, and she's taking this road as an easy path. Also, this leopard sort of, her territory falls to the right of this road, to the east. And leopards use physical sort of features in the environment, like rivers and roads, as demarcations to form the boundaries of their territories. And so that's another reason why she's walking along the road, because this may be the boundary of her territory and she'll patrol it. But she's covering ground quite quickly, and I'm going to keep up with her. Hopefully the signal stays strong for us, because we have been battling a bit with that today. She looks like she may step off the road again, just to smell what's on that branch. Maybe there's another leopard that's walked past, possibly a male that's in the area that's left scent on that little piece of grass or on that bush. And yes, she does look like she's got black spots on. Or, sorry, rather black socks. Because I think maybe she's been walking through this dew, or it's actually rain, and makes her feet look a little bit darker than it usually would seem, and muddier. Now, look, she's stopped now, and actually just as we were talking about the moisture on her feet, she's taking a little time to lick it off. She probably doesn't find it too pleasant having such wet feet, and she's going to carry on. Doing a bit more grooming on that spot where she just lay as well. So she's really not keen on being wet, like most cats, I guess. And if you have a look at that stomach, still quite thin. Probably about a month and a half or 2 months ago that she was mating with that male, so hasn't shown physical signs of being pregnant yet. Maybe in a month or half a month, if she did fall pregnant from mating with him, she'll start to have a sagging belly, and then we'll know for sure that she is pregnant, and that would be super exciting. We haven't had leopard cubs on Pinder that we viewed for a very, very long time, especially relaxed leopards, and she, as you can see, is super relaxed with vehicles. And so if she does have cubs, her cubs will learn that from her. They will not necessarily learn to run from vehicles, like a lot of leopards in this area. Oh, there she's going to take a big whiff of scent from that branch and spray her own on that magic worry tree as well, just leaving her own little signpost. And I don't know if any of you viewers at home have ever smelt what a leopard scent mark smells like. It's this amazing smell. It smells exactly like buttered popcorn. So yeah, if she does have cubs, it's going to be so exciting to be able to potentially have leopard cubs on Pinder that we can view. Look how her ears are now pointed backwards towards us and towards something that she's heard behind us. Although she's looking forward, she's listening backwards. She's taking in all of the stimulus that's she's receiving from the environment around her. And she's even panting a bit. She's walked so far. And she's starting to show signs of a little bit of exertion. Now you can see the beautiful spots on her side. We've been following her for quite a while now. Oops. Let's just try to get another view of her before we lose her completely. Matt Yardley for us, Matt. We've relocated here on Main Road. She's going to head east again towards Optional.
Copy, I'll make my way.
And now you can see how beautifully she's camouflaged, eh? As she walks through the grass, almost impossible to see her.
Have you been watching Wild Earth and dreamt of being right there on safari with one of the guides? Well, now you can. Wild Earth is offering you a chance to buy a ticket to dream. You or a friend can hop on board a live Wild Earth show and join our guide on safari. The ticket is redeemable at any of our locations, anytime in the future. Only a limited number of tickets are available, so don't wait. Get your ticket now and start dreaming. Terms and conditions apply.
Okay, there's another big male coming in from our left here. Another big male, look at this. This is the one. Now you're going to see sparks fly, guys. Guys, it doesn't get better than this, eh? Yes, unbelievable. Africa, I love you, eh?
Expect the unexpected here on Wild Earth daily.
This is Rusty. He's my favorite vehicle, and we've been through all the good times here in the bush. Now, if you feel a connection to Djuma Game Reserve like I do, then we have a fantastic opportunity for you. You can have your name engraved on a brushed metal plaque, just like this one, and we will attach it to Rusty so you can always be with us on safari in spirit. We will even send you a digital photograph once your plaque is mounted on Rusty. Spaces are limited, so grab your spot now.
Hi, I'm Kyle, and I come to you live every day here from Tswalu, Kalahari in South Africa. My favorite bird has to be the social weaver. The enormous nest that they create, their survival tactics to inhabit these harsh and unforgiving environments, and as well as their complex social arrangements is truly remarkable. And the interconnectedness with the ecosystem shows us that we are too.
Catch up with the guides daily here on Wild Earth.
In a world full of upheaval, we all need a quiet and safe space to breathe. A place where anxiety and stress don't exist. A place where life carries on as normal. Escape to nature with Wild Earth.
Welcome back to Rubbing Post. Damn, everybody, we are. Buffaloes have had the most amazing saunter around. And this female here, who's probably one of the low-ranking females due to being injured. Often injury can lead to an individual becoming a little bit less important in a herd. When they get old, they're still accepted in the herd. Oh, 12 o'clock, we're next to the log. We've got the lesser moor hen again. You see where the small log is? Over there. Yes, please, 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 please. We've got to the right. To the right. There it is. On the right. Yay! Oh, how exciting. The lesser moor hen, everybody. Now, Tristan saw these the other day. We just had them a little moment ago, and now we've got it out in the open, cleaning and preening, and probably a little bit upset with the buffaloes for coming and making waves and ripples in the water here, but how splendid it is to find this very shy and skulking bird. And if you know me, everybody, I love to do birding while in big game sightings. So I do apologize if you'd prefer to be looking at the buffalo right now, but we've been looking at them for quite some time. This is a bird we very rarely get on camera, and I've never before today. So you see the red on the nose, on the tip of the beak, with more of a yellow. Obviously you get the common moorhen. It's got much more red on that beak. Just the tip of the beak is yellow, and not that we can really see the legs, but the common, it's got much yellower legs. Bridget, we had some mud wallowing on our way to this pan. There was a big bull who he'd found himself into a big patch of mud. These buffalo have been swimming, so they haven't really been mud wallowing. And it's definitely something you see more with the big buffalo bulls, especially the older guys, enjoying the mud. You don't often see these younger females or breeding herds themselves mud wallowing. I don't know why. So this is a very uncommon bird, everybody. Very uncommon. Inter-African migrant, meaning it comes from sort of more north in Africa, comes all the way down here to breed, and obviously likes temporary and permanent fresh water. Omnivore. Walks around the edge of these little puddles, and also with their big feet they're able to walk on the lily pads. Can also swim, feeds on beetles, other insects that might be accumulating on the flooded vegetation. Also eat seeds and flowers of the reeds, and also mollusks to a degree. So now Tristan's going to be very excited we managed to get this on camera. He was trying the other day. I've tried. Let us know, #WildEarth, if this is a new bird for you. Kylie, well, I'm super excited to hear your bird list is getting bigger, especially with the introduction of places like Phinda, the Mara, as well as Tswalu Kalahari. Lots more birds to be encountered in those places. Wow, look at him. And those big feet. Okay, so the male's only a little bit bigger than the female, so there's not really much to go on with regards to the difference in sex, but we're going to stay here with this moorhen, maybe with our buffalo as well, and send you over to Tristan, who's still with his young leopard.
Well, as you can see, we're still with our little boy, and he's still being as cute as ever. He's chased a squirrel, and otherwise it's just been up, down, all the time. I think he's bored. He's just looking for something to do. He's moving quite far now, though, from where he was this morning. We've covered a fair distance. He's going towards the lodge now. I think he knows that at night the lodge is a safe place, and then during the day back out to where he can mess around and play on the rocks and things like that. I'm kind of hoping, though, he's going to find one of these trees and go up it. That's kind of fitting into the day to have him go up a tree. For now, though, he's just sort of cruising around the grasses and basically just trying to scratch for anything that he can potentially go after. He watched some Egyptian geese for a while, should I say. Then he was after a squirrel. And now he's just looking for anything that he can find on this clearing. see where he goes. I might have to catch up with him because the grass is so long, so difficult to see them. When he's walking, it's fine, but as soon as he sits down, it's near impossible. What have you spotted? A little white tip to the tail. It's a marula fruit, you silly boy. It's dropping from the sky. He's going to get hit in the head now because these marulas are dropping from the tree above him. I think that's what he's curious about, is the thudding sound of these marulas. I mean, it would be quite funny if one fell next to him. Sometimes they get a little frightened and can jump up. He'll learn very quickly that that's not a safe place to be, is underneath a marula tree at this time of the year. All right, let's catch up with him. He's drifting quite far now. And just like that, he goes, and you can't see a thing. It's amazing how quickly they disappear. I'm not going to make the same mistake he is. I'm going to go round the tree because I don't want to be pelted by a marula this evening. So the ellies have made it nice and short here. They've been under this tree. Behave yourself, marula tree. I think we're well clear of the canopy now, which is good. So we can just park off here. But you can see how you would never be able to see him from the road unless he's up something. I mean, we're not far from the road. We're probably only 30 meters, but that kind of spotted coat just blends in so well with the grass, and that's him sitting quite high. You're going to get hit by a marula now. One just landed right next to him. And if you're quiet, you'll hear them thudding. Okay, well, we're going to sit with them and see what happens. Maybe a marula will drop. In the meantime, let's send you across to Swallow. Apparently they've got a bird.
Alright, I'm going to have to apologize first and foremost. The view is not the greatest, and Craig is doing his utmost best to give you guys a view of what's going on here. And I'm talking very quietly because we are fairly close. This is the nest of a glossy starling, and this is one of the chicks. There's two in this nest, and this is one that you can see its mouth is open at the opening of this crack on the stem of this old dead camel thorn. They are featherless at the moment, so obviously this is a form of altricial breeding where these little chicks are bound to this nest and they rely on the parents for everything. So what you can see is the side view, that lightish stripe that you see in the middle of the screen there. That is the actual beak of this tiny little bird. And I mean, these guys are young, maybe a few days old. So obviously just out of respect I want to show you folks, but just ensuring respect and safety at all times. That's why I'm not talking very loud. I don't want to disturb them. And I'm constantly keeping a watchful eye out for the adults. If we see the adults, we are out of here. But to get a view of a young, brand new little chick like this is incredible. There's two of them. And we did see eggs in this nest site at, I think it was around the beginning of December. And unfortunately something snacked on them. But because of the favourable periods that we are in, they will then breed again. So typical laying dates anywhere between September and February, and then there have been recordings, by my knowledge, to individuals. Penelope, very amazing to see such a young chick bound to a nest like this. And you can see from the coloration of that beak, when that bird, look there we go. Look at that. So the coloration of the beak is very distinctive because it's fairly dark inside this nest site. And when the parents come to feed it, the parents need to see where they need to put the food. So you can see that coloration being very distinctive. So the bird opens up its beak and the parent has a reference point of where to put the food. Really incredible to see this. Look at that. Wow. That must be really hot inside there. And this side is actually facing the sun. Where the nest is, it is actually westly facing. And they are almost totally naked. They've got a few little feathers on them at the moment. Craig did say he saw an eye slit. Partial part of the eye was starting to open. So it shows that they're still very, very early stages of development. And these little ones rely solely on the parents for everything that they need. Oh my word. How incredible is that? But we're not going to overstay our welcome. We're going to take another little few more seconds, and then we're going to leave these lovely individuals to be. So when the eggs were in there, they would have like a bluish tinge to them. Wow. Nice one, Craig. We're actually looking through a slit, a crack within this trunk. And that's where we're actually getting a view of these little chicks. You are all these corn crickets, man. Wow. So you can see how illuminated the circumference of that mouth is. Certain birds that nest in holes have special markers called gape markers on the left and the right hand side of the mouth that are actually brightly colored. So when the adult enters the dark nest environment, these markers are clearly visible to the adult, and the adult knows exactly where the food needs to go to reach the chick. So come take a look at this way quickly. Let's show them, Craig. We're just going to be a few more minutes. This is where the adults, Craig's being attacked by the corn crickets. This is where the adults would go in and out. This is where she would have gone in to lay the eggs initially, and this is just big enough for her to fit in and out of this nest. This more than likely would have been created by a woodpecker initially. Only a woodpecker has the ability to chisel out this very, very hardy wood, and I mean this is very, very hard. Just take a look here. So a structure that's old and dead like this is still very important for a host of different animals. Birds, insects, resting spot for animals at night time. And this very tree is the spot that one of the very first leopards that were seen on Tswalu was in this exact tree, which is really remarkable. So what we're going to do is we're going to leave these guys. Obviously, we don't want to overstay our welcome. When it comes to viewing animals, you don't want to overstay your welcome. You want to view and you want to make your way out. But let's take a look here, Craig. Let's show everybody how many corn crickets or armored ground crickets there are. There are just so many at the moment. And I'm watching them climb over that tree. And my heart just drops, because if they get into that nest, unfortunately they will consume those chicks. And it just shows you how many factors are against birds. So I've mentioned very briefly earlier how this insect would breathe is basically on the underside over here. Little openings called spiracles, and those holes enter an area called the trachea, and basically this tube runs the length of the body, and that basically allows oxygen to flow throughout the body. Everything is bathed in blood. They have no massive separation. Everything is one, almost like one sealed unit where everything is bathed in blood. And if you look here very carefully, I mean, the ground literally moves with the amount of these armored ground crickets. All right, what we're going to do is we're going to enjoy this for a little bit more, and then we're going to see where those spots are. But
we're still with our this little leopard, and he's been making me laugh because these marooners are hammering down and they are landing all around him, but he's kind of just said, you know what, I'm not interested. If it hits me, it hits me. But he's got this sort of stern stare every now and then up at the marula tree, as if to say, I'm warning you, don't do that again. Otherwise, I'm coming up there. I think he's lucky that he's sitting a little bit off the edge, so they're landing kind of towards his tail rather than his head. I think if one hits him on the head, he's going to get the message and move pretty quickly. But I'll keep quiet for a bit because it's a nice time of the day. There's lots of nice sounds coming from the dam and the marula tree thudding. I'm sure you'll be able to pick them up if we keep quiet. Of course, now when we keep quiet, none of them are actually falling. It's been pretty constant while we've been sitting here, but there's no wind to speak of, so I was hoping we would hear them falling, but of course always when you want something to happen, it doesn't. Hoping also for a second when he stood up that maybe Mom was coming. Wouldn't that have been a nice way to finish? Just to have Mom arrive, kind of call him out and get that reunion between the two. I was watching something. Maybe an elephant. Sorry if my mic is scratching again. I mean, I'm sitting dead still, yet it's still making noise, which is highly, highly irritating. All right, so we'll stay with him. We'll see what he gets up to, see what he's looking at. Hopefully there will be some sign of Mom before the evening closes out.
If you love to watch Wild Earth, then we are inviting you to join our Explorers program. For a monthly subscription, you will have the opportunity to win fantastic Wild Earth expeditions, join our guides for a chat around the fire, receive weekly highlights from our shows, and much more. All the money will go to keeping these live safaris on air, which in turn allows us to escape into nature every single day.
Hi, my name is Taylor McCurdy and I'm coming to you from Eco Training here on Pridelands. My most favorite animal in Africa has to be the elephant that's behind me, and this is Kumo, you'll meet him. But elephants just in general, they're really sociable, they're always doing something, and I love to see the interactions between the members of the herd.
Catch up with the guides daily here on Wild Earth. Our first Wild Earth Explorers competition has closed, and we have a winner. Congratulations to Chantal Sleep from Benoni in South Africa.
I felt totally overwhelmed for winning this prize. I will be taking my son with me, and I can't wait to share this experience with him.
Chantal and her son have won a behind-the-scenes Wild Earth experience at the magnificent and beyond Ngala tented safari camp. The prize includes a 3-night stay and a chance to sleep out in the unique Ngala treehouse.
I would like to thank Wild Earth for making this dream come true, and I encourage everybody to subscribe, to become an explorer, and stand the chance to win these amazing prizes, and so much more.
For this month, we have a brand new prize. You could be jetting off to Tswalu in the Kalahari for a 3-night stay at the luxurious Motsi Lodge. Open to all Wild Earth explorers who have signed up before the end of January 2021. Terms and conditions apply.
Looks like it's a very difficult climb because every time it tries to climb, the ground is breaking, so it slides down. But it's the only one. Look at that. That is a call of desperation with a cub. It's like, what are you doing, mommy? Oops. Oof.
Expect the unexpected here on Wild Earth daily.
Welcome back, everybody. We have finally moved away from rubbing post. I'm going to see if we can maybe catch those buffalo again on this road. Almost didn't think it was coming. We do have a massive branch stuck under our car that I couldn't get out, so I knew he wanted to come to me. Oh, there we go. It just needed acceptance. Needed acceptance of the fact that it was stuck and let go. Isn't that a wonderful feeling sometimes in life? As soon as you accept something for what it is, it vanishes. And I think what I'm going to do, I'm just going to pull up over here. And there's a wonderful sky developing over there. And Paul, is that going to be all right? Look at that beautiful sky. Yes? And let's just show you with the tree. Beautiful sky. It's definitely that time of day. Time for a moment of reflection. It is the end of the month, January 31st. It's a Sunday. What intentions are you going to be putting forward for February? And what are you going to let go of? What served you and what served you well and what hasn't served you at all? Put a very interesting post on Instagram today with regards to exactly that. So feel free to go and have a look, and also feel free to sit back, stretch out your legs, take a deep, deep breath, and just enjoy.
We're still with our little leopard. He's still moving. He's going straight towards the dam. He's curious of the hippos, I think, more than anything. He almost went up a tree, like ran towards the tree, and then he was like, nah, I'm actually going to sit. This is as far as we're going to go. The dam is right here, and it gets very wet just in front here, so we're not going to go any further than this. We'll leave him to kind of go down towards the dam. I thought we'd just get one last view of him with the kind of dam and then the lodge in the background. It's always pretty just to kind of see how these cats become so at home in this area, and this dam and this section of the dam has always been one of my favorite areas. It's absolutely beautiful in this section. You've got nice big marooders, and then the dam that's kind of overflowing, and this leopard that's kind of walking towards it. I wonder if he might go up the tree over the water there and watch the hippos for a while. He's very curious, I think, of the hippos. They're making a lot of noise because they're almost about to come out. But it's very, very, very cool. There they are. Right there. They always sit in this area. This is one of their little favorite parts to sit at. He's going slowly towards that little mound. I think he's going to sit close to the water. He's going to be up on one of the mounds or in the tree and then just watch the comings and goings. He's venturing far, though. It's further than he should be. If Mom comes back, she's going to be very annoyed. It's going to take her a while to find him because he's nowhere near where she left him last. He was last up towards Gary Main, and we're right at the dam now, so it's a long way. I mean, it's not far in distance, but it's long and it's far enough that Mom probably is not going to be that chuffed, given that he's headed in this direction. You can also see it's starting to get very dark now, and so we don't stay with him at night yet, without Mom. If Mom's around, it's different, but without Mom, when it gets dark like this, it's time to let him go and do his own thing. And you can see just how quickly they start to disappear in this dingy light and in these long grasses. Let's see if he pops up the tree, though, before we go. It's kind of close enough to maybe go up. David, it's a leopard finding his place in nature. It's always a nice thing to see, isn't it? To watch a young leopard figuring out his environment and kind of how everything fits together and works. I always think it's an amazing kind of part of what we get to do, is that we get to see so much of these guys growing up and how they go about it. But I think he's just curious of the hippos more than anything else. This is not a place for him to drink, though. He must be very careful here. I hope he doesn't go down to the water to go and drink, because the crocs here will take him. So this is not an area for playing around in the water. You know, if he wants to drink the Mulawanini, there's got nice fresh flowing water that is safe. This is not an area for him to drink or mess around. But he might just be, like I say, curious of the hippos themselves and just kind of watching them more than anything else. I was hoping he was going to pop up the tree, but he hasn't popped up. Squawko heron. Oh, it's been a long time since I've seen one of those. Very cool. You can hear it calling as it's going. Thought I heard them earlier, but I wasn't sure. We were a little bit further away. But nice. All right, so he's gone. He's disappeared in that long grass. And like I said, it gets very wet there. It's right in front of the camp. I don't want to leave big ruts or marks there. We've had a wonderful afternoon with him, and it's getting dark. It's close to the water, so I don't want to attract any more attention to him than we have to. It would have been cool to have him and the hippos as like a little two-shot. But it's unfortunately the conditions that we're in at the moment. We just need to be respectful of the area and not make a mess. All right. Well, we're going to carry on. We're going to see you just drive back the way we kind of came with him, just in case Mom is around. In the meantime, though, let's send you across to Swalu with the spotty cats.
Well, we can actually see the cheetah now. This one brother has moved into a very favorable position for us to view him. They're slowly starting to wake up, and now this individual is scanning the area around him, doing a little surveillance. All the armored ground crickets calling around us now. The other brother doesn't seem to have the energy as this one does. The other brother still flat in and amongst that vegetation where we saw them earlier. Zona, why are they not part of the Big Five? So just a little background on the terminology. The Big Five actually stems from the hunting industry, unfortunately, and then it has been adopted into the conservation and game viewing industry. So the Big Five terminology originates from the 5 most dangerous animals to be hunted on foot, and that would be the leopard, the lion, rhino, buffalo, and then the elephant. It's not due to the size, and a cheetah weren't really on the high ends of hunting, and they are very skittish animals, so they would opt to flee before you could even see them, although they were hunted quite a lot back in the day. So lack of aggression, they weren't seen as a very dangerous animal to hunt on foot, and so they weren't categorized or included into that Big Five terminology. There's still parts of Africa where cheetah are hunted. A certain number of quota are set out on a yearly basis. South Africa, it's a total ban. You're not allowed to hunt cheetah in South Africa, which is great. Conserving and protecting these endangered species is what we need to do. And I mean, who would want to hunt an animal like that? Back in the day, the removal of large predators was a very, very big thing. And a lot of animals lost their lives due to, obviously, farming, because back in the day, farmers would have established areas and large carnivores would have been a huge negative. So quotas were actually set out. There was actually a bounty on large carnivores' heads, where the administration at that time, I think it was, trying to think of the year. Can you remember the year, Craig? You spoke about it with wild dogs. 1800 somewhere. Oh, okay. But anyway, yeah, so the administration at that time paid out a lot of money for the extermination of large cats, especially large cats, which is a very terrible part of history, and hopefully we can learn from that, and we can create and not destroy, preserve and protect instead of destroying. But like I've mentioned before, unfortunately these animals are highly prized in the pet industry. Not as aggressive as a lion and a tiger, but is easily bonded with, and they become quite complacent if they are hand-reared, unfortunately, from a young cub. And that is terrible. But if you look at insects and birds and wild plants, it is a multi-billion-dollar industry. It's basically a very, very organized crime syndicate that sorts out in search of exotic plants. If you take a look at certain plants in South Africa that are protected, you would look at a few different species. Impala lilies, a protected species, which is also heavily poached. We've seen over here in Tswali the devil's claw for its medicinal and medical properties. But a lot of items, a lot of wildlife is unfortunately exported under the radar for the pet trade and the want, yeah, unfortunately. FCI, just we've got the beginning part of the message, or the question from CNAC, how do they blend into the environment? And then it kind of broke up there. So maybe if you can just re-go with the question again for me, please, or the comment. Or how do they blend into the environment and their surroundings when there's no green around? Well, their spots. Their spots are a remarkable adaptation. So if you look at spots and you look at stripes, those are what we refer to as disruptive markings. And for example, if I had to have a jaguar, for example, sitting next to the cheetah, and we had to go a kilometer back, and we had to look onto those two animals, you'll find that those spots actually disrupt your visual aspect of the animal, and you would see the darker subject much easier in comparison to the cheetah. So those spots really disrupt your visual aspect and allows the animal to blend into the environment. So even if there's no grass, from a distance, that animal's general outline is broken up and it disrupts your view. So there doesn't need to be grass for this animal to be concealed. They'll use cover, small bushes, small laying shrubs, just like on the right there. If you just, Craig, just zoom out a little bit for us. Just go to the right there, you'll see that shepherd's tree to the right there, look how low laying that shepherd's tree is. So that would be perfect cover if that cheetah was on the left or right side of that tree. And then just its general understanding of how to blend in. So cats are very sneaky, having free-flowing shoulder blades. That's how leopards and lions and cheetah are able to get so low. And if you keep a low profile, you also blend into the environment as well. And that's why you find antelope having peripheral vision, side vision, and their eyes are set on the side of the head. That's to give them an advantage of their side surroundings. But they are well adapted to the Kalahari. Especially in the more arid areas. But while we enjoy this scene, let's go take a look at a big hooved ungulate.
Welcome back to our buffalo herd, everybody. It's something I always love doing with my guests. If you found a herd of buffalo in the darkness, to just switch off, allow them to surround you. Eventually you just get all these noises, feeding, grunts and snorts and the smells. I really do like the smell of buffalo. Growing up, my favorite thing to do was to go to my grandfather's farm and milk the cows. That was my best and most favorite time. Get up in the morning and run through to the milking shed with my red gumboots. And so, spending time with buffalo, I often get that smell. And those memories flood back. Obviously, we're not viewing these animals with any light. It's all in the infrared spectrum right now. Watch them go about their business. The garden service has arrived. It'll be nice if this herd hangs around for a few days. Mows the lawn a little bit. Come over to Djuma for a few days as well. I can tolerate the flies as long as they chop the grass down a bit. This one's not so certain. See, the nose is always working. Melissa, buffaloes don't have a territory. They have a home range, so they move in response to the food availability and the water. So within the herd, you'll have buffaloes competing, males competing with males, but it's essentially a matriarchal sort of grouping of females that lead the way, with a few sort of high-ranking males that sort of also lead the way, but females will generally stay in the herd for life, and bulls will come and go depending on age and fitness. So nomadic, I think, is the right term. There we go. Back to chewing. We've been given the all clear by this one. Jacqueline says that they scare her more than lions do. Buffaloes are potentially dangerous animals. They're big and burly. But Jacqueline, they won't eat you. Grant's decided to give us the African salute. Buffalo might squash you, but they won't eat you. I'm not saying that lions are out to eat you, everybody. That's not what I'm saying. When you get a comment about what you're more scared of. Dot of the horn is made out of keratin. He's very interested. Look at that dripping nose. The hardness of it. Am I mistaken in saying keratin? I think there might be another substance. I know that our fingernails are keratin and the rhino horn is keratin. Having a blank moment. Let me rehash the thoughts on that while we send you over to the west with Tswala Kalahari and their cheetah.
Moi! Welcome back. We're at a place where it's still sunny. The sun is just before the horizon, and the light at this point in time is very beautiful. You can see the cheetah enjoying the sunset as well. So just to clarify what we were talking about earlier about the extermination of large carnivores, it would have been especially for that of wild dogs. And between 1911 and 1934, more than £369,000 was spent on this activity of removing large carnivores. So a big drive. Obviously the negative influence they would have had on livestock would have been tremendous. But we hopefully have learned from those very terrible lessons, and hopefully new generations can come up with better ideas on how we can eliminate human and animal conflict, because there is so many smart ideas out there. Using bees, for example, to ward off elephants is a very, very clever tactic that's being used in some parts of Africa around the crops, because obviously the elephants come into the crops because it's nice yum food, and humans lose their nourishment, and so you've got to look after people. But using nature against nature is a very clever tactic, and I find by far one of the most efficient ways as well. Got this cheetah looking very lovely, and the other brother is still relaxing in the thick grass over there. Okay, can we take a look at it over there? Just going to give you a little view of the scenery. Just take a look how beautiful the light is along the mountainside here. And you can see the shadows rushing towards the mountain. White-browed sparrow weavers claiming their rights. It's a very weird cloud formation over there. Those lines, very strange looking. Tandeka, lovely comment. Swallow in the evening is always lovely. It is very beautiful here in the evenings. And where that heat kind of lets go, and you almost get like this second charge to carry on. If you ever visit Swallow or the region, it can be quite a shock to the system if you're not used to the heat, especially through summer. Beautiful, look at that. See the other brother just moving around in the grass just to the top right hand corner of this individual in frame. You can see his head moving every now and then a whish of the tail. So in there lays a cheetah, and you can just see the spots through the thicker green part of the grass. And that just shows you how those spots work so efficiently to break that animal up as a whole. Because if that animal was one uniform color, your eye would be able to pick it up very easily. Good afternoon. How about you guys look on my good side? So still keeping a very low profile, the way this cat is laying right now. And then the head upright, using that very, very acute sense of eyesight to pick up on available prey. Using sense of smell and hearing as well, but eyesight is by far the most dominant sense that this animal has. Jonathan, great observation there. Why are the back of the ears black? So the ears, same as lions, if you look at lions, they also have black markings on the back end of the ears. And if you look at cheetah, the facial markings, especially that beautiful tear line. That tear line is used to absorb solar radiation so that it is eliminating glare. But look here, as it rotates its ears back. So they have an ability to rotate the ears so that the back end is almost facing forward. And those black markings would accentuate or would increase a very aggressive facial posture. Same as lions. Lions will cock the ears back, and those black markings are then used for more aggressive posture. They can also be used for communication. I've heard and read along the lines that lions do use these black markings behind the ears for visual communication. There's other brother. But definitely used for an aggressive posture, giving the animal more fearsome appearance. Because cheetah really have to play a bluffing hand. Unlike lions that have a full house, these guys only have a pair when it comes to poker. But from beautiful cats to large African mammals, let's go see what Steve has.
Thanks, Carl. Well, surprised you still need to have shade that side. It is dark here. And a herd of elephants was in the road a moment ago with a tiny little baby. It can't be more than a few weeks to a month old, but as is this time of year, they've gone off-road and they're lost to the wilderness. You can just hear, that is not the baby, that is a sub-adult or a 3-year-old, 3.5-year-old. There is a little baby. That's this one's younger sibling that is attached to mum's leg, quite literally. And there they go into the thickets. Well, the grass is quite long. It was in the road in front of us where the grass has been mowed. We got a good view of it. You see how short the grass is in front of us, but now that it's gone into the thicket, it's gone. Okay, well, we continue on in the darkness because you don't want to shine any light on elephant. Their eyes are quite sensitive, and you don't want to disrupt the youngsters at all. So we just move away quietly, and once we're away from them, we can go back up to our lights. Okay, what a wonderful afternoon we've had. I've thoroughly enjoyed it. Can you switch that light? You can turn that eye off. Otherwise it's a bit blown out, eh? Ah, there we go. That's better. Back in colour. Oh, the sun has arisen behind me. Still actually part of a breeding herd, lots of dung in the road, so another reason why we always drive very slowly is because herds can just materialize in the road in front of you. So I know sometimes it looks like we're driving quite quickly, but we never really are. Right now I'm crawling. I could probably walk at this speed. Fast walk. Buffalo. I might see if I can follow up on them in the morning, see where they've headed to. Probably come back towards Tamboti Dam, or they might even go further east towards Nyala Dam. But we'll continue on. It's been a bovine, fantastic afternoon.
This is Rusty. He's my favorite vehicle, and we've been through all the good times here in the bush. Now, if you feel a connection to Djuma Game Reserve like I do, then we have a fantastic opportunity for you. You can have your name engraved on a brushed metal plaque just like this one, and we will attach it to Rusty so you can always be with us on safari in spirit. We will even send you a digital photograph once your plaque is mounted on Rusty. Spaces are limited, so grab your spot now.
My name is Lauren, and I'm currently working in Djuma Private Game Reserve here in South Africa. I love answering your questions during the live safaris. It's my favorite part. It feels like you're on the vehicle with me, and I'm able to teach you exactly what you want to know. If you want to ask a question on Wild Earth, then you need to register on our website. Once registered, you must go to the live safari page and ask your question below the live feed.
Do you dream of traveling to a far-flung wilderness location where life continues as normal? A place where you can escape to nature and breathe. If you become a Wild Earth explorer, then this could soon become a reality. Subscribe today and stand a chance to win regular travel prizes. Wild Earth Explorers, it's in your nature.
What makes Anbi Untitled Private Game Reserve so special is our massive array of habitats. And with that comes, of course, a beautiful diversity of landscapes, but also an incredible biodiversity in terms of plants, bird life and animal life, as well as, of course, our conservation success stories with cheetah, with rhinos, now with pangolins too.
Catch up with the guides daily here on Wild Earth.
I've seen something I've never seen here before. Look at these cubs. One is crossing the river. It's being washed away, unfortunately, but I'm sure the mother is going to save her. Look at that. How beautiful. Look at that. One crossing, two to go. How cool is this?
Expect the unexpected here on Wild Earth daily.
Yes, and we have a bit of movement. The brother that was laying out in the open has decided to move a little bit further, but continuously looking back at where his sibling is. Almost to say, come along, we need to go. And I think why they've been so lazy is because we're coming off of a full moon, and there's still quite a lot of light under the cover of darkness where these two boys will utilize this available opportunity. Same as the wild dogs. Just while we're enjoying the scene, just an update to all the viewers. There'll be a time change happening for the sunrise safari happening on the 2nd of February. Just so you folks are all notified for our starting time for our sunrise safaris. Make sure everybody's on board. Beautiful light on this animal right now. The sun has set behind the horizon, but just the light that's still being illuminated is just so gorgeous. So the brother's now stood up as well. He's now sitting under the branches, and hopefully he will be en route to... Well, I can't thank you guys enough for joining us on this sunset safari. Please make sure to join us tomorrow for more adventures here on Swale and as well as the country, all our other colleagues. It's been absolutely incredible, and thank you for all the questions and comments and the time spent with us, which is the most important thing. So he should be on the move. And thanks to Craig. I hope Craig has a good time off. I'm going to miss you, Craig. Great, look at that. making his way straight to his brother. They do look fairly hungry. You can see the beginning there of the hindquarters. You can see how the tummy, from the chest, the tummy tucks up quite quickly. And then you can see that piece of skin between the hindquarter and the ribs. Beautiful. Well, we will see you tomorrow.